How about them Cowboys? How about them? We're back. Another episode of Stats Over Politics. I'm Shaun Holko alongside my guys, Jaevon, Toddy, Kevin, and Garry Singh. All right. Well, I know that I'm excited. Jaevon looks excited as well. I think Kevin is. All three of our teams, or two of our teams, are undefeated. Can't say the same for Garry, but I mean, Gary's feeling a little bit better this week as you're still muted just from the intro and everything, Garry. So if you want to talk about your lowly Steelers, go ahead.
Hey, man. W's a W. What can I say? We lead the division still, Vonny. We'll still lead the division.
Y'all lead the division or y'all tied for the division?
I don't know. All I know is we're number one.
That means they tie.
Check, I ain't gonna lie.
Hey, Jaevon, so you remember before we officially started the stream how my mic cut out and I was dealing with mic issues and everything?
Yeah.
So now you are. Like, it's clickety-clack. You remember what we were talking about before we had D'Lo on? So just reevaluate that. We'll get back with you. But anyways, another week of Stats Over Politics. Kevin, how are you doing this week?
Doing well, man. Can't complain. Just finished watching a horrible Monday Night Football game. Seeing it come down and end like that, I was expecting, after the Shank, I know we'll get into it later, but after the Shank field goals, I was waiting to hear Toddy's Jordan Love speech after the game, but unfortunately, it didn't play out that way. So feeling good, man. Can't complain. A lot of good stuff to talk about. We got preseason basketball coming, so even more things to talk about.
Oh, preseason basketball.
So, Jaevon, we'll get into this in a little bit because we're going to kick things off starting with the NFL, and then we're going to get to Factor Cap. We're going to talk some college football, and then we're going to end things with Vonny's Hotline and check in to see how the Hotline did. But, Jaevon, I was covering a volleyball game, and I looked down at my phone, and I see I might have been wrong about Jordan Love from you. And so, were you wrong?
Oh, no, not the backpedal.
The 3-pick game. It's just
Looking
maybe
like
we were
twins.
too quick on the draw a little bit on the pack. I don't know. I saw the preseason. I think the preseason tells a lot of lies.
Garry, undefeated in preseason. Oh no.
Garry is he's very familiar with the preseason. I let the preseason deceive me, as Terry Crews said off the White Chicks. You deceived me. So I think it's just he has 6 starts, and I thought he looked good in, like I said, the preseason, but didn't look too good tonight. He was hitting, people in black in stride. The other team, he was throwing it directly to them. He just had a bad pick at the end. Like, he threw it all the way to like the corner of the end zone, like didn't even give his guy a chance. It's on like 3rd and 2, so it's like, let's at least try to get the first down. There's like 50-something seconds left. Let's work the middle of the field. There's one timeout left. Let's try to at least make something happen. But Jordan Love just doesn't look good right now. And, I just thought that every time a team plays the Raiders, it's just an automatic win. But I guess that's not the case. Jimmy G was not just going to lay down and die at Allegiant Stadium. So I would have liked to see I thought they got Josh Jacobs a lot more involved in this game. Saw Jacoby Myers kind of get out there. Davante Adams did what he usually does, but he didn't really have the 8 receptions, 150-yard game that a lot of people were betting on, that I did not. But I think that the Raiders and McDaniels tried to get the tight ends a lot more involved. I heard Buck say on the main broadcast on ESPN, he was basically saying, if your name is not Davante Adams, Jacoby Myers, or Josh Jacobs, you basically didn't see the ball the previous weeks. And I thought tonight they kind of got a little bit of everybody involved. The run game was going. Josh Jacobs got going, I thought. And, it helps when you have Davante Adams on the outside. And I saw there was this clip of they had a D lineman on them. I'm trying to think who it was. I can't remember. Preston Smith was lined up on Davante Adams. I don't know who schemed that up, but that's barbecue chicken, as our guy like Shaq says all the time. So it kind of came down to who was going to turn the ball over more, and that was the Packers and Jordan Love. The Packers don't look like they're going to be winning the NFC. My take kind of went hand in hand. It was Jordan Love is the best QB in the NFC North, and the Packers were going to win the NFC North. The Packers are not I think they're tied. They're third at the moment at 2-3, and Jordan Love is not playing well. So, the grass is not always greener when Aaron Rodgers, leaves and goes to the New York Jets. So, gotta be careful what you wish for. It's not always, sunshines and roses when you get Brett Favre, and then you get Brett Favre for 20 years, then you get Aaron Rodgers for 20 years. We don't know how the football gods are going to bless you after that.
And as the YouTube viewers and also as well X and Twitch saw, I decided to call an audible. We're just going to get right into this Monday Night Football game. I mean, it just ended. And so, Kevin, I wanted to ask you as a follow-up about this Monday Night Football game that the Raiders beat the Packers 17-13. Why was it such a terrible game in your opinion?
Dude, it's funny. I was actually talking to one of my boys. His name is Shaun. He's a Niner fan. He's like, I'm so happy the Raider fans get to see what we go through. Like all the years that we went through. And for Jimmy to go out there, the pick was just so bad. Such a bad read. It's like, I don't even know what Jimmy's looking at. And Toddy mentioned about Jordan Love, for him to go out there and throw 3 picks. They were really just scraping for every single yard. Christian Watson had a huge big play. But besides that, it was really just a lot of nickel and dime. So when I'm looking for I was expecting them to get Devontae Adams going early. I was thinking to myself, like, damn, this time he's played the Packers since he's been traded. So I'm thinking they know everything he's going to do. Jair's got to guard him the whole game. There's nothing more than I want to see Jair get embarrassed. And yeah, like Toddy said, for the audio-only listeners, he put the seatbelt on and strapped him up. There was a time in the game in the fourth quarter where Devontae had 1 reception. So they had him locked up. They knew his number and they had his number, but it's good to see that there's no bad love between the two. But to answer your question, why was it a boring game? It's just a lot of turnovers, really sloppy for teams that had the additional day off.
Kevin, that's a great point as well, just in regard to Devontae Adams only having 1 catch until late in the fourth quarter. And they actually brought that up on SportsCenter when he was interviewed after the game. And he basically was just like, we got the win, and that's all that matters to me. And so, Garry, your Steelers got the win in Las Vegas when you were there a couple weeks ago. And then they had the loss against the Texans, but they bounced back and they get a big division win against the Ravens, who were looking impressive. So, anyways, back to the Raiders, though, because we'll get to your Steelers a little bit later. The Raiders, they beat the Packers 17-13. And so what do you think of this Raiders team? Because I'm honestly lost.
I mean, today you guys got to give credit to Max Crosby. He was a game changer, really making Jordan Love feel uncomfortable in the pocket all night. That last one was I thought he was trying to pull Mahomes play with the back end zone, but he left it too short. Didn't really give his receiver right there, Watkins, even a chance to even really make a play on that ball. He was kind of too deep in the end zone. So I kind of want him, he still has some time right now to really chop it down. I think they still have one more timeout, I'm pretty sure, because they kept going outside line out of bounds and keep running the clock. So they could have got a little closer, maybe took one more shot in the end zone, but I guess he's seen something right there, try to go for the win. It would have been a good W under Mr. Love's belt to put, give some Packer fans some hope in this season. They've been kind of up and down so far this season. You see a little sparks like Von's been preaching and things of that nature, but we haven't seen him go full throttle. But then again, it's only been his first 6, I think, 4 games so far in his career, something like that. So he's, he's actually making a steady climb in this team. I wish they finally realized to, rely on Dillon, but a little bit too late to rely on Dillon for the Packers. They should have been gotten him a little going early. And then somehow, some way, the Raiders pull it out. And it's crazy, like you guys are mentioning. We all would bet that Adams, I bet you, whatever people have been doing over and unders with Adams is probably over and everything. So I bet you no one was pretty hit tonight, which kind of sucks. But hey, you got to give credit to the Raiders. They scrapped it out with their defense. They trusted their defense to get a couple plays. They made a couple offensive touchdowns, and that's pretty much was the ball game. And it's kind of disappointing to see because he thought the Packers would be a little bit more high-powered and come in here and win. But hey, you got to give credit to the Raiders for actually getting a W, especially in Vegas. Because I ain't gonna lie, Shaun, I think every team is taking over at any time. Because literally, if you're a fan, you're like, go to Vegas and go watch my team play. I think everyone, even today I was noticing, damn, even a lot of Packer fans, they travel pretty good too. But it's like the Oakland fans, man, they ain't coming out there. And that's what made the Raiders, grimy team to play against too. And it kind of translated on and off the field. So I feel like they're still missing that. So hopefully they can get that griminess back because they need it for this team.
You got to give them some time, though. I think this is their second season since the first one was COVID. So yeah, they're just still new. I mean, shit, the Rams won a Super Bowl. They still ain't got no fans.
Yeah, true. That's LA. There's so many different fans.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas
only
has
the
never been a
Aces and the
football
Raiders.
town. Yeah, but I mean, they're starting, they're growing. You got to give them a chance.
Oh.
They threw the money into it, so people are going to come. There's a nightclub in the stadium.
Yeah, it's
so
nice.
if people
that's
don't come to the game, they're going to the stadium and have a good time. So they'll get some diehard fans. Hopefully not the black hole again, but we'll get some fans back going.
Garry, that's a really great point about the fan invasion at Allegiant Stadium, because I went to Las Vegas yesterday just for the day to cover the WNBA finals. And the point isn't to flex, but to mention, I knew someone. I knew someone.
I got there. Only in Vegas for a couple hours.
14 hours to be exact, but no private, just Southwest points. That's why I got the Southwest credit card. But anyways, point is that when I flew out there, I left at like 6 a.m. and there were several Packer fans on my flight going there a day early so then they could have a day to enjoy Vegas before they spent Monday, I'm sure as you did, Garry, Monday just focusing completely on the game like you did with Sunday Night Football. And there was plenty of Packer fans on that flight, but I credit the Raider fans. There were also a handful of Raider fans on that same flight because everyone's so excited. They're all wearing their gear, so they're very easily identifiable. And I'm sure that there could have been even more fans of both teams that just weren't wearing their team's gear. And the Raiders, they snapped a 3-game losing streak, and it's significant because they haven't lost 4 in a row since 2019. So I guess that's a good streak for the Raiders to keep going. And Garry, I'm really glad that you mentioned the impact of Max Crosby because for everyone tuned in on YouTube, X, and Twitch, you saw me pull out my phone earlier and just like snap something. I took a photo of my television because they showed a graphic on ESPN that in the last 3 seasons, Max Crosby leads the NFL in games with 4 quarterback pressures in a game, as he's done that 23 times in the last 3 seasons. Second on the list, no surprise here, Nick Bosa, and then also tied for second is Micah Parsons, both with 18. So Max Crosby, he was a game wrecker, and he really made it uncomfortable for Jordan Love. Do any of you guys have any other thoughts on our Monday Night Football game that we just saw conclude, or should we move on to the next?
Congrats to the Raiders. Grinding out a win.
Shout out to Sam.
Congratulations, Raiders. Yeah, and shout out to Sam as well. So now, in the spirit of switching it up, Kevin, this might surprise you, but we're going to talk about your team's win before the 49ers. As the Eagles, they beat the Rams 23-14 on Sunday. They did it in California, in Los Angeles, as Kevin mentioned earlier. Those Rams fans are really non-existent as Philly took over SoFi Stadium. Green everywhere. Shout out to my friend Matthew and his dad because they were there. Real Eagles fans going to the game on the West Coast. Exactly. And so anyways, as I'm done throwing shade at Kevin, this is your squad and you're still undefeated. So what did you think of the win?
Man, all year we've been talking about this Eagles offense and seeing if they get back to that 2022 team version of that team. And they came out there Saturday and they did it. For us to go out there and have 28 first downs. For me, all offseason to come in here and preach that Dallas Goedert was a top 4, top 3 tight end. On that first drive, 4 catches for 45 yards. That, man, it was apparent early that we were going to go to him. We go to him often.
It took him a while to emerge.
Oh my gosh, tell me about it. I have him on my fantasy team. So it was hard to start him, but he's finally getting rolling. So to see him, that be an added layer, that safety blanket is just what we needed. But I know I came on here last week and talked about A.J. Brown over the past 2 weeks, but over the past 3 weeks, 24 catches, 433 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 games over 125 plus yards. He's on pace for 1,800 yards. A.J. Brown is on a tear right now. Jalen, Jalen threw one bad pass in my opinion, and it was that underball throw to AJ that Weatherspoon picked off. All season we've seen AJ and Devontae undercut the ball, and that's Jalen's kind of been used to throwing it that way. But Weatherspoon been watching the film and he picked it off. So besides that one pass, I think Jalen Hurts went back to MVP Jalen. We saw him run the ball. He really has been taking a lot of not trying to take a lot of hits. He's been sliding a lot more, but now that he got that money, he's putting it all on the line. 75 rushing yards for 15 attempts with 4.8 yards per carry. And in the passing game, for him to go 25 of 38 with 303 yards, 8.8 yards per pass with a touchdown. I mean, we could take the pick out of the picture, but he's being aggressive and we like it. This defense, I'm telling you, fellas, I'm watching this first Cooper Rush drive or Cooper Cup, and I'm like, all right, you know what? Bradley Roby ain't played one snap. He ain't got one practice snap, but he's better than what we got out there. So he's gonna have to go. And for him to go out there fresh off the plane and play 25 coverage snaps, he was only targeted 6 times for 2 receptions for -4 yards. So for him to come in there and play that nickel spot that we've been preaching, we've been needing it. We've been having rotating guys in there, in and out. Maddox got hurt. His backup got hurt. So now we're down to a 3rd string and nickel. But for us to sign him in the weekend, for him to come in and just have a big impact from day one, really goes to show us a lot. But this defense, man, I was telling Toddy, I posted a picture of Fletcher Cox being out, and he sent me, I don't even know what you would describe that emoji. I guess the one eyebrow raise. And he's like, Kevin, what's going on? All my friends are like, you're happy about this? And I said, yes. Because this is for every Eagles fan. You get to you were able to sit back on your TV Sunday afternoon and see into the future. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis lined up together for a majority of the snaps. Dog, shit was insane. Jalen Carter is tied for the most pressures with defensive tackles with the Aaron Donald, and this man doesn't even start. Aaron Donald plays majority of the game, and we rotate our D-line in frequently. So Jalen Carter is only going to get better. So for Shaun decided to come in and after that horrible first half defensively and only give up 101 yards with 3 sacks and 0 points, our coordinators are figuring it out. So huge congratulations to Shaun Desai and Brian Johnson for coming in and leading us to our 2nd year in a row 5-0 start, first time in league history. So Eagles are flying high. And we got a lot of things roaring for us.
Credit to the Eagles because, I mean, this isn't even me trying to throw shade, but all the stats that have popped up about the Eagles start all reference back to last year's result of how last year ended with them losing in the Super Bowl. And the Eagles are now the 3rd team since 1980 to start 5-0 after losing the Super Bowl the previous season. Again, I have to just say the disclaimer, this isn't Shaun's pop quiz, but do you guys have any guesses of who the other 2 teams were that won or that started 5-0 after losing the Super Bowl the previous season?
Cowboys.
That's a good guess. But no. So the 1991 Buffalo Bills after their first Super Bowl appearance, then the Eagles were actually the other team, the Eagles of 1981, and the Bills, they went on to lose the Super Bowl again that year, and the Eagles of 1981, they lost in the wild card round. So the more you know, but it's been a great start for the Eagles. Jaevon, as a fan of the other undefeated team left in the NFL, what did you think about the Eagles beating our division rivals?
I thought they kind of came in, stood on business, as our boy Drewski likes to say. Jalen Hurts, I was kind of surprised that he had over almost 40 pass attempts, which was pretty crazy. I thought that just the way that the defense looked was pretty good. Jordan Davis, as Kevin already mentioned, is a stud. Shocked that he fell all the way to 10. And then Jordan Davis is just a stud. You know, those Georgia Bulldogs were, drafted for a reason. They stood out in college, and they're definitely showing it on the field in the NFL. AJ Brown looks like a top 5 wide receiver. These past, I'd say 3 weeks, as Kevin already mentioned. Just give him the ball. I feel like he'll figure out a way to to make something happen. He had that one-handed grab, and it was like a 60-yard play, I think. Just AJ Brown is pretty much unstoppable whenever he wants to, if you're able to get him the ball. And the run game, I wouldn't say the run game was solid, but it's not what we usually see. We saw a lot of Hurts kind of running around a little bit, and DeAndre Swift, I think he rushed for like 70 yards. They weren't really really run heavy as they usually are on the run side, but as far as Jalen Hurts goes, I think that he's kind of been just playing really well, and if he keeps playing like this, this is an MVP level that Hurts has been playing at, and the Rams didn't really look too well as far as kind of getting Cooper Kupp involved early on, and then Nakua couldn't really wiggle like he wanted to because I think Cooper Kupp was kind of ready to get in the swing of things, but the Eagles kind of just handled business in LA.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the snap, crackle, pop of your microphone has returned. And so before we toss it back to you, I'd appreciate if you just clicked on the little settings button,
He said
checked it
snap,
all
crackle,
out.
pop.
But anyways, Gary, I wanted to get your thoughts on this game because the Eagles, they're still undefeated. And regardless of what Jaevon and I may think as 49ers fans, they're undefeated and they're cruising after last season. So again, unbiased, as Kevin puts on the crown for our audio only listeners. Gary, what did you think of the Eagles win?
Well, I'm glad Kev didn't get on me. I thought he was gonna get on me because of my pick. I ain't like Kev. I was looking for. I really wrote this down. I was looking for a little sneak.
He showed
attack
mercy
win.
on you.
Sneak attack win, Kev. You know, I'm picking Eagles to beat you guys Niners at some point this season, but I was trying to get my picks right. You know, I'm still 8-6 this week, 52 over 26, just to put that out there. But you know what? Start out the gate, Kev. I know you see me. I said Cup is back. And I was like, okay, this is about to be a great game. They're going back and forth. First body blows. You see Cup going off. You see obviously the rookie getting off too, and Puka. But at the end of the day, second half, baby, they really just shut it down. You got to give the Eagles credit. They, stopped them on offense, which was a pretty crazy thing to see because how much they were cooking in the first half with the Rams. I still believe the Rams, once they get everyone healthy, they could still be a little bit dangerous, sneaky team in the playoffs. As Manny says, Cooper Kupp is back. We've been on the lookout for the Rams. So if you got Cooper Kupp in your fantasy and you had him waiting, he was patiently waiting. I think, Shaun, you got him? Shaun been patiently waiting and activated. He started out good with 118 yards over 8 receptions. So I think this team is going to be looking good once they, if they can get the defense. Aaron Donald had to get out injured for a little bit in this game, but I think he'll be able to finish this game. So that was good for them. But overall, the Eagles, again, showing their dominance. One thing, again, Kev, I was asking for different types of wins, and that's what you've been handing out. You've been handing out different types of wins, but getting W's, which, I think is a good thing for this Eagles team because what we seen last year, they kept winning only one type of way. Everyone called that and thought that, and then, kind of fell. Even though you guys obviously had, got a little lucky with the injury to the quarterback, you guys still got a W and it showed face later on. So I feel like at the end of the day, I'm glad Kev, we got to even kill with your team. I can't be, riding that bandwagon fully just yet. I'm saying? I'm glad they're getting W's. I'm glad I'm seeing it different ways. And yes, still Jalen Hurts. I know he still got one pick. I feel like he can clean that up even more because last year he's playing basically flawless. So imagine if he could play even flawless, and that's just me nitpicking on this great team right here that should be Super Bowl bound. So got to give credit to the Eagles, 6-0 each.
Gary, the train's leaving, brother. I just told Alyssa, don't cancel the Airbnb. We still going. Don't cancel it. We going. So if you want to get on the bat, go ahead. We going straight back. We going back to Vegas.
Y'all go to Vegas, whoever's there.
Well, it was certainly a long wait for me and waiting for Cooper Kupp because I started 0-3 in the first year of my Dynasty League. But back-to-back big wins, so I'll take it. Patience is a virtue. And Blue saying what's up as well here on Stats Over Politics. So, Jaevon, I just wanted to check in with you. How are we sounding?
Do I sound okay?
Yeah,
I can't hear you. I can't hear you at all now. Like we could hear you. It sounded okay, but your volume,
higher mic volume thing, the gain.
Oh, now you are completely muted and he's gone. All right, so Jaevon will be back. We're figuring that out. It's all good. As we move on here on episode number 55 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Garry Singh, Kevin Dent, Jaevon Toddy will be rejoining us very soon. And so now we move on to the last game that we're going to get into in detail. And for those of you who have been tuning in every single week through the first 4 weeks of the regular season, we've decided to reduce the NFL segment and go from focusing on 5 games a week to 3. But don't worry, we're still going to talk about every single game once we get to our quick recap of the week in the NFL. So now we get to exactly. I tried not to say quick hitters because I think of that as all the smoke thing, and I try not to steal everything from them.
Nevertheless, that was their thing. I'm not gonna lie.
That's what Matt Barnes like when they do the speed round questions at the end of their podcast. Matt Barnes is always like, "All right, time for quick hitters." So
my bad. All the smoke. Don't worry about it. They ain't tripping on this.
Gimmick infringement. Anyways, so now getting to Sunday Night Football. The 49ers absolutely destroyed the Cowboys 42-10. It was not even a game. Uncle Manny, we appreciate you for tuning in as he For our audio only listeners, he put a sad emoji, said, Cowboys fan, have a great show. I guess Uncle Manny's still crying right now. And Julian, he said to me over text, that wasn't the Cowboys that you guys played yesterday. And I said, who was it then? He didn't reply to me, so I guess he didn't have a good enough answer.
That's what he meant.
But our guy Julian is saying in the YouTube comments, sad week, boys. Shaun and Toddy, I got you guys tomorrow. Jaevon and I are about to be getting paid. The other person that paid me, shout out to Bob, loyal listener of Stats Over Politics, who will be joining us on November 6th, the day after the Cowboys and the Eagles play. Your family doesn't bet? That's probably good for you guys, Garry.
No, they don't bet me no more. I used to make a lot of money on the Cowboys in this family. They don't bet me on the Cowboys no more.
Yeah, well, it's probably smart on their end. As T, what's up, T? We appreciate you for tuning in. As she says, bang, bang, we are the team to beat. Hey, Kevin, you see that? The 49ers, that red and gold team.
Don't make me speak bad on T. Don't make me speak bad on Mama T.
Okay, I'm sorry. We shall move on.
And this one
says, Smooth says in the YouTube comments, your defense was okay, but tell me how many times the Cowboys got in the red zone. How many points did they score, Smooth? 10. That's all I care about. So, anyways, hopefully Toddy's able to rejoin us. Otherwise, I'll give my full spiel on what I thought of this game from the 49ers perspective. But
go ahead, Shaun.
Garry,
start us off. You let us start. I want to hear Shaun go first today, Mr. Niner man.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you throw me the lob, I'll try to dunk it in. Anyways, I thought that this game was awesome from start to finish. I mean, the 49ers came out on that first drive and they scored a touchdown within 4 minutes. It was one of those Shanahan scripted drives where they executed it to perfection. And George Kittle finishes the drive with his first of what was eventually 3 touchdowns, a hat trick for George Kittle on the night. And that's actually a career high for him. So that was awesome to see. And to me, the Cowboys, they just looked like they were never in it. I saw this one stat that the fact that they didn't get a first down until the second quarter, it was truly ridiculous as I stalled for a second to find the stat. It was the Cowboys' first game without a first down on their first 4 drives since November 30th, 2017 versus Washington. Like, they could not even get a first down against the 49ers. And Kevin, you'll probably enjoy this, but you remember the meme from last week that I showed everyone that you were not very fond of. Blue wasn't fond of it either, but I found an updated version and it's actually pretty good. As for our YouTube, X, and Twitch viewers, it's a photo of the top of the NFC. You see 2 very scary dragons being the 49ers and the Eagles.
One's a little bit higher. Just a little bit higher.
Yeah, but look at the eagle. Look at the eagle dragon, though. He's looking over at the Cowboys, worried about the Cowboys in their own division. While the 49ers are looking straight ahead, ready to smoke their competition.
I thought you were going to say his mouth was a little open with his teeth. Okay.
Nah, you see the side eye. He was looking over at him. But as Smooth says in the YouTube comments, Cowboys didn't really want the smoke. They truly didn't. And so, Kevin, from your perspective as one of the fans of a top NFC team, what did you think about the Cowboys and the fact that this was their Super Bowl basically of this season? Because we know that they aren't going to be getting there later, and they lost 42-10. And so, what did you think about that, Kevin?
Man, Cowboys. All day people are asking me who I'm going for and who do I want to win. I was honestly rooting for a tie, fellas. I'm not going to lie to you. I would have slept great on my pillow with a smile on my face as the only undefeated team in the NFL. But I ended up watching the game. I know every week I come on here and I don't watch the Niner games, but you know what? I was all in for an upset or a tie. So I was locked in from the start. And the very first possession, like Shaun mentioned, perfectly executed, go down there and Kittle gets the touchdown. I just want to talk more about it from a Cowboys perspective. Since Trayvon Diggs has gone down, they are now the 30th in pass defense. They were first with him. But let's all take it for a grain of salt. They did play the Giants and the Jets their first 2 games, and I think the Jets maybe scored like 10 points. So they scored 10 points. They gave up 10 points in 2 weeks. So take that with a grain of salt. But like my dad mentioned, no red zone trips in 60 minutes of football. Not a single red zone attempt. And Dak Prescott after the game said, "We didn't see this coming. We didn't see it coming out like this. We put all this work in this week and we got punched in the mouth." Well, you know what, Dak? I saw it coming. I saw it coming from a mile away. If this defense isn't forcing turnovers, getting interceptions, picking up fumbles for scooping scores, or putting this offense in great position on the field, they're not going to be able to score. You can't rely on Dak Prescott. They were winning games, and Dak Prescott was throwing for 100 yards, 110 yards. Like that's what we expect out of two-glove Kenny. Like, no disrespect to two-glove Kenny, but when you think Dak Prescott and you see that star, you think he's going to put up there and win you games. You pay him that money because he's going to win you games. For him to go out there and complete 14 passes out of 24, 153 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. It's just a drive killer every time he throws one of those interceptions. We saw it in the playoffs last year. We saw it 2 years ago in the playoffs when you guys went to Dallas. Dak Prescott is going to be this Achilles heel of this team. The one thing that I did see from an Eagles perspective. So, when you're in a dark time, they tell you just look for the light at the end of the tunnel. So I did. I went just like this. And I said, yeah, the Niners don't have a way in hell in beating us. But we'll save that for week 13. But I don't want everyone to get too high off of this. This is the Cowboys. I know they were coming in as one of the best teams in the world, but it's the Cowboys. It's like a roller coaster, man. I saw this amazing analogy, and I want to get you guys' thoughts about it. The Dallas Cowboys are like Ben Simmons. In the summertime, he's showing videos of him shooting 3-pointers, step back mid-ranges, getting all the hype up. And when you punch your ticket to go watch him play, he lets you down. That analogy was a hell of an analogy. But I want to come back, but I was like, damn, that's a hell of a shot.
What an analogy, but also of all names, it's just hilarious to me that you mentioned just Ben Simmons because like he went to the WNBA Finals game yesterday, and as I was leaving to go take my Uber to the airport, I walked past Ben Simmons playing blackjack in the casino, and I texted that to my group chat that I'm in with Bob, and Bob and all his friends were all saying, did you tell him how he sucks? Did you bother him? All these things. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to walk up to another man and harass him like when he's just trying to enjoy his evening. And they were like, oh, no, you're a party pooper. Should have harassed Ben Simmons. No, I'm not going to harass Ben Simmons in a casino. He's trying to enjoy his life. He's trying to enjoy his little bit of time before the Nets season officially starts, even though who knows if he'll even play for the Nets this year. Anyways, Gary. Tonight. Oh, so there you go. That is pretty significant. And so shout out to Ben Simmons. I hope he's able to resurrect his career. If Toddy was here right now.
At Ben, he didn't even play a game yet.
I didn't. I just saw the analogy and I was like,
analogy.
It's hella true though, bro. Because I couldn't.
Yeah, didn't you say you had a point? I was waiting for. I thought you said there's a weak point in the Niners, didn't you?
He's saving it.
Week 13. I didn't.
Oh, you gonna save it? Okay.
If you want me to paint you the picture, call me Picasso. I'll paint the picture.
So, all right, let's hear it.
We heard that this Cowboys defensive line was the Chicago Bears defense. They had 15 pressures. That was a season low. The only time Brock Purdy got touched was when they did the coin toss and they dabbed hands. That was the only time he was touched the whole game. I just don't believe that's going to be the same with us. I think we're going to be able to get to Purdy, so I think that's going to be a big show. And I think until us, I don't think you guys play a defensive line like us. So I think it's going to be easy to see this and say, oh, we can do this against anybody. No shade to Micah Parsons, but it's 1 against 5. Like, I mean, I know DeMarcus Lawrence is good, and I know they drafted some guy, defensive tackle, and they think he's going to be really good, but they just didn't have it. And their offensive line is complete garbage. Your guys' defensive line looked fucking phenomenal. Nick Bosa, I don't know the Cowboys do last name, but last name is Steele. He just got a hand to the helmet and just got shoved out of the way. Like, that's not happening to Lane Johnson. Yeah, I know he jumps offside, so yeah, it doesn't happen to him. But I just don't think that's going to happen to Lane Johnson. And with a defense like that, if you can get ahead and make a team one-dimensional, the Niners are going to be the best defense on the field. If they're going to force you to run or force you to throw the ball, they're just going to sit back and send it. They're going to send 4, and they're going to be dynamic. I just don't think they're going to be able to do that. I think because Jalen adds the aspect of him being able to run the ball, it's not going to be able to do that. But I did see Greenlaw playing QB spy against Dak Prescott. So
he was sitting there.
I don't know if Dak Prescott and Jalen are the same kind of athlete, but Greenlaw is no fucking joke. Greenlaw is no joke. And Dak just like I talked about in my first part, Dak just turns the ball over, like recklessly turns the ball over. I don't think the Eagles would play
Christmas gifts, y'all. Y'all heard me like
Christmas gifts. Like you get one, like the one he threw to
The last one
Yeah.
was horrible. I feel
The
like he just wanted
first
to
one
the
was
game.
horrible, way overthrown, and I'm like, what? I'm thinking another guy's going to come across the field and try to make a play. But just to see them go out there and play the way they did makes me think less of the Cowboys. But like I said, Gary, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and I can't wait for Toddy to rehear this and hit the group chat.
Well, Toddy, you just missed out on a lot, but if you're able,
can you
okay.
guys hear me?
We can hear you, and you sound
All
great.
right.
So just in time, let's hear your thoughts on the 49ers beating the Cowboys 42-10.
I mean, what more is there to say? The Cowboys were all bark, no bite. There's not really much to say. They're not a real contender. Let's just call a spade here. They're not even the best team in their own division. How can they be the best? Well, we're even seeing Micah Parsons. Oh, George Kittle, he's saying he's wearing the T-shirt and he's saying, fuck Dallas, that's my guy and everything, but best believe when we see him again, are we even going to see y'all again? Like,
at the award show.
Cowboys are they going to be like a 5th seed, 6th seed type team? Like, what seed are they going to be like? I think the Lions are better. I think the Lions are better than them. They're not going to win their division, so the Eagles are going to be obviously higher than them. So we're looking at Niners, Eagles,
Seahawks.
Or Seattle. I was going to say Seattle better than them. I think the Saints are better.
Someone got to win that division.
It's just going to be tough for Dallas just going forward and just how they analyze everything like as a unit, just from just the head coach. Quarterback didn't look good. I mean, Dak is prone to throwing picks against the 49ers. That's just going back to both playoff games that we've seen him in. He's going to throw multiple picks. So Tony Pollard, they're saying, oh, well, Tony Pollard got hurt last year, and that was the reason we lost. And well, Tony Pollard was very pedestrian in this game. Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has the highest completion percentage in the NFL as of right now. He's on pace to throw for, I think, at least over, I think it's Kevin Dad, if I'm not mistaken, for our audio listeners. I mean, we got to call a spade here. I don't think Brock Purdy's better than Dak Prescott. I mean, you guys say Dak Prescott's a top, 12, 10 quarterback. Purdy showed you that he's better on Sunday Night Football. We're averaging like 35 points a game with Brock Purdy as our starting quarterback. And when your team is able to put up points like that on a consistent basis, you're going to win games. When your defense only gives up 10 points, 10 to the Dallas Cowboys. They're supposed to be this, high-powered offense. I get it. There were some injuries on the defensive side with, Trayvon Diggs in the secondary. But at the same time, I mean, it's just tough to stop the 49ers. Like, you forget that George Kittle's on your team. I'm pretty sure there's some people in fantasy who are like, George Kittle's not doing anything. Well, he just dropped 3 touchdowns last game. So you have guys that can go for 3 touchdowns. I mean, Brandon Ayuk, he's going to get you those chunk plays. Deebo Samuel's just waiting for a 70-yard reverse run or whatever it is. And then you have, people forgot, we have the best tight end and arguably the best tight end in the league. We have the best running back in the league. We have the best fullback in the league. Like, people forgot that Kyle Juszczyk is a guy that can line up in the slot and can line up in multiple places of the field and be effective and score touchdowns. It's just getting to a point where, like, where you have, the best linebacker, D lineman, running back. Like, you just got dudes everywhere, and it's just tough to stop. I mean, I don't blame them. The Cowboys were just kind of a fly on the windshield, and they just got in the way. We'll see where their season goes from now, but I mean, Jerry Jones said it best. We'll see. This is a team that's looking like they could be Super Bowl favorites. We'll see how we stack up against them. And you guys didn't stack up too well. And the other team that's going to be coming into town pretty soon, I think it's week 9, whenever they play the Eagles. I'm not sure if that first game's in. I'm not sure when the Cowboys play the Eagles. Whenever that first game, I don't know if it's in Dallas or not, but Cowboys got some soul searching to do. They need to figure out how to get back and just figure out where they are in the NFC race, not the NFL, just NFC period. Because a lot of people, not even just a lot of people, just a lot of Cowboy fans just thought that they were one of the best teams in the league. Me and myself included. I was, under the spell of them having the best defense in the league. It's It's very tough. And just going back to just the playoff game last year, Dak threw multiple interceptions. You're not going to be able to win games when your quarterback is turning the ball over. And especially 3 times last week. I mean, Dak said he's not throwing for more than 10 interceptions. Well, he threw 3 last night. So if he keeps throwing 3 every single game, he's going to be on pace to break that streak. So Niners just look dominant every week so far. I think they're the best team in the league.
So
And-
before we move on, Toddy, did you hear my analogy?
No.
So I saw
We need
something
to
on
hear it.
Twitter
We need to see it.
saying that Ben Simmons is the Dallas Cowboys. All summer, he's showing you the step back threes and the jump shots and getting you all hyped up. And when it comes to punch the ticket, it misses in action. Ooh, crack, pop.
All right, Jaevon, I'm sorry, but I got to put you on mute because it was screaming snap, crackle, pop on that one. And so I brought up the comments from Kevin's dad. One of them saying Purdy makes it look easy while Dak struggles bright under the bright lights. And the funniest thing I thought about last night is how all the Cowboys fans were saying going into the game, he only has 1 interception. Like Dak said before the season, he'll not have 10. Well, he's on track now because he had 3 against the 49ers last night. While George Kittle had 3 touchdowns with a hat trick, Dak Prescott had 3 interceptions, getting a hat trick, a bad one. And it was pretty funny to see because, as has already been said, it was just like, and another one, and another one. And to be fair, one of the interceptions wasn't his fault as it came off the receiver's hands, but it is what it is. That's what life as a quarterback is like. And so, Garry, again, I always mention you as the unbiased one on this panel because we're all fans of teams in the NFC. And Manny, who is also a fan of a team in the NFC, he brings up an interesting point. I disagree with it, but let's see what your thoughts are, Garry. As Manny said in the YouTube comments, Seattle is definitely better than Dallas. So, Garry, what's your opinion on that as a fan of an AFC team?
That's a toss-up right now. Seattle's having a good year. Did they win this weekend? I forgot. I think they did win this weekend, right? Who they play? I already forgot. Seattle's not on the radar right now, my guy, Manny.
So, man.
They're irrelevant.
They're on a bye week? They're on a bye
No,
week.
we're
We're looking. I don't even see. Hold on.
No, they were on a bye week. I remember they were on a bye week.
I don't even see them on my document.
because I had to bench Kenneth Walker because he was on a bye week. So
Slow down, Manny. Enjoy your bye week, my guy. Enjoy the bye week right now. But it's a toss-up right now. We'll see when it gets. Well, we know one thing. Geno Smith and Pete Carroll have the quarterback and coaching advantage. So anytime you have those, you're always looking to be the better team. Back to this game right here, the 49ers versus the Cowboys. You know, guys, I love playing the DA, the devil's advocate, but I hate, being the Cowboys devil advocate. But I found myself, you can ask me, but I found myself probably very few times in my life actually trying to go root for the Cowboys just because there's everyone and their moms is going for the Niners. Although I told you guys before doing the group chat real quickly, watching the, pregame stuff and everything like that, and everyone's picking the Niners. I'm like, oh, this is just setting up for something that's opposite. Usually the Cowboys, what ended up happening, they ended up just falling on their face and pooping the bed on live national television for everyone to see. But usually I thought, those type of things that usually happen. You see a gritty team, everyone's against them. They lost in the playoffs last year. This has been their kryptonite. They maybe have a chance to finally, get over the hump, maybe get one swing back. And like Dak said, they got knocked right back out, and it was really sad to see. I don't really want to hear Michael Parsons. We'll get to my guy later, but I don't want to hear Michael Parsons anything defensive player of the year, nothing. If anything, my guy right here, Mr. Watt, should be in that major conversation, just FYI. But at the end, I put right here, we knew the Cowboys were frauds, and they just proved it once again. Vaughn, you mentioned we're not going to give the Niners too much credit here. We're going to give them credit for being a pure dominant team, as they've been doing, and they dominated another team that's never really been in their class. We kind of just put them in their class because there's very few teams to put in the NFC right now in the Eagles and the Niners class at the moment. But you know what? It's time to give you guys roses at the moment in Week 5. I give you guys credit. One thing I do love, even though I hate the Niners, because I'm just surrounded by everyone. Niners. You just learn to hate it even more and more. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just that you guys are finesse, but at the same time, you guys are physical. And I'm like, that's a combo. I think that, makes great teams. I wrote right here, you guys are hitting on all cylinders. And it does. I seen today, they asked George Kittle on the Pat McAfee show if they feel like they're on a mission. And indirectly, he kind of put it, like, not trying to say he's on a mission, but you could tell indirectly kind of that we're on a mission. You could tell they're on a mission to revenge. This team's been knocking on the door. And this is the type of team, they're going through all the Hall of Famers today on how many Eagles. I was seeing how many potential Hall of Famers that could be on the Eagles, the potential Hall of Famers that could be on the Niners. It's going to be a clash of titans when those two teams meet. But you guys have a lot of – really, to be honest with you, if you guys don't get a Super Bowl with this team in the next 3-4 years, it was a major, major failure, to be honest. It's a major, major failure because how many awesome players, we can go down the list that you guys name every week that everyone's starting to know on the name-to-name basis because they're making big plays, are going to have to show out when it counts, And one thing, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. But it's one thing, I don't know if you guys are nervous. I'm going to throw this to you guys, to the Niner fans. Two things, actually. We need Kev to redo his focus on what is the bonding to get to hear what you said that you guys, the 49ers, are weak in. Second thing we need to know is, are you guys peaking too early? He did. He mentioned it. He said you guys are defensive line. He said you can get to the quarterback. Yeah. And second thing is, are you guys peaking too early? This is week 5. We're week 5. You guys peaking too early. I think Kev might agree. I don't know. That's one thing I worry about. This is week 5, guys. We're peaking maybe too. That's the only negative thing you could say, really, I guess. Other than that, there's nothing to hate on. We got to give the Niner fans their flowers. Grudgingly, as I'm doing, rolling my eyes.
The reason why I said I didn't hear it is because I thought that the Cowboys' defensive line was all right, and the Eagles are better, but 49ers will be able to handle them. They remember what happened. No
pressure, so just gave you kids, gave the stat.
The point is that the 49ers remember what happened to their quarterback in the NFC Championship game last year, and they're going to do everything that they can to prevent that. But I mean, I guess we'll have.
Are you nervous that they're peaking too early, Shaun? Do you feel like this whole high point's going to ride all the way to week 17 into the playoffs?
Great question.
That is a great question. If we got to the point where the 49ers were 12-0, 13-0, 14-0, I would be a little worried because I wouldn't want the first loss to obviously happen in the playoffs. I'm not saying the 49ers are going to go undefeated in the regular season, but that's really the only time that I would really worry about that. Otherwise, they're dominating everyone as they should. But, Jaevon, I just wanted to check in with you to see how things sound. I can hear you, but it's still crackly.
Awesome.
Hold on.
It's not a little bit.
Speak a little louder real quick.
Is it crackly still? Crackle.
It's still a little crackly, but it's not as loud as it was. Anyways, Jaevon, I just wanted to ask you just in regards to the Bears and Commanders game. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there because as we were moving on to our NFL Week 5 recaps, you talk about the guy who you have on your fantasy team in our Stats Over Politics.
Somebody come get him.
And somebody come get him because he is Justin Fields, and he is looking like much more than a running back. Kevin, shame on you for giving up on the fan club, but I'll be the proud president. Anyways, Jaevon, the Bears, they beat the Commanders 40-20. So let's get your thoughts on that.
No, I just thought Justin Fields kind of came out. He balled, did what he was supposed to do, threw 4 touchdowns. I think he put up like 40-some fantasy points. So somebody come trade him. I got a quarterback. His name is Brock Purdy. He put up good numbers for me this past week. I don't know. I'm starting to get a little bit more in tune with fantasy. I'm not really. I focus on the gambling trend, even though we'll talk a little bit about it later. But no, I just thought, Magic Johnson kind of said it best on Twitter. He was like, we kind of got punched in the mouth early, and it was just a little bit. It was too little, too late. I think Sam Howell threw for like 300 yards, but most of that was like garbage time yards. DJ Moore, whoever had to play DJ Moore in fantasy, it was a shellacking. So imagine having to go against Justin Fields and DJ Moore in fantasy that week. A lot of fantasy references from me today. So, but no, the Bears are trying to jump on track now, and I mean, I still don't believe that there's anything Justin Fields could do to prove to them that he's better than Caleb Williams. But I mean, if he's gonna audition for anybody else, any other takers, I think the Bears' fate is kind of set.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the Rice Krispies aren't going away. So we're going to ask you to check that out, and then we'll get back with you. Anyways, the next game that I wanted to get to was the Colts game, because they had a significant return in Jonathan Taylor as he finally signed a contract with them and got a 3-year deal. So, Kevin, as the Colts, they beat the Titans 23-16. Should the Colts be worried about Anthony Richardson constantly dealing with health issues?
You got to be, man. You got to look at it and say, oh, is it worth it? You know, he was known as a guy with a strong arm, so he doesn't have to be a run-first quarterback. But they keep putting him in this situation that Anthony Richardson isn't smart enough to think that I'm going to go and slide. You know, he's probably, 6'6", 250 maybe, soaking wet. So he's a big dude. So he thinks, you know, you see a 6'2 DB, 185, I'm going to put my shoulder down. But they're going to have to figure it out, because the dynamic duo of Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson is going to be one to look at. And, you know, they have Zach Moss, up-and-coming running back, who's been killing the game. I have him on my fantasy team. You know, we're talking about fantasy. But this Colts team could be dynamic. They just have to make sure they keep it together. And it's a great place for Gardner Minshew to be, to not only mentor Anthony Richardson, but in the case, like we've seen twice already, that he goes down, Gardner Minshew is able to come in and go right away. And just to talk about the Titans a little bit, it was great to see them finally fucking get DeAndre Hopkins going. Like, you would think if you have a number one target like that, you're going to get him going. And it's been just slow going. It's been slow burning. I'm not the biggest Ryan Tannehill fan, but, you know, they're finally starting to click together. But, yeah, that's true. Who is? So
Evan is. Apparently Evan in our Stats Over Politics fantasy group chat is.
Yeah, so they're going to get rolling sooner rather than later, but I'm just really happy to see that they're getting DeAndre Hopkins involved early.
I am as well. And Garry, the Jaguars, they beat the Bills 25-20, which was a little bit of a shocker in London.
Called that, Shaun. Knew that was going to happen. They upset, and Jaguars are now 3-0, I think, I believe, in London. This was a little early game. I really wish I watched the end of the game by my clock. I was very sleepy, so I went to go watch the highlights again. So, this must have been a really good game. And watched the highlights that morning. Man, it was a good one to watch. This is the game I kind of predicted. I feel like the Jaguars, even though I bet against, Kevin last year, I kind of knew this year they were going to step it up and be that team. I feel like they had a little rough start, but again, right this week, Trevor Lawrence gets it started going with 315 yards and only a 1 TD, but no interception. That's key. Travis Etienne to get him going 136 yards on 26 carries. So they're doing their thing again. Josh Allen throwing up 359 yards, but again, Josh Allen throwing an interception in a crucial moment and not be able to bounce back in his game and control his game. Again, you see Stephon Diggs, as he should, get a little frustrated in moments because they're not when they're rolling, man. They're one of those teams. They're kind of remind me of the Warriors. Even the Warriors are champions and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of a Bounce team. When Warriors are rolling, they're rolling. They're hitting threes from everywhere. They're hitting crazy passes. That's what the Bills are. But when they're losing, it's hard. The rope leaves them, and they're not be able to catch that momentum back. And I think that's a frustrating thing because they're trying to have those clutch moments, and they're not be able to always have those because Josh Allen, it just hasn't been able to been fully clutch. He's been toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes a few times as one of the best quarterback in the league, and sometimes he's fallen short. So, and he better be careful here because this guy right here, Trevor Lawrence, is on his tail to be the next best in the AFC, trying to be, compared to Patrick Mahomes. Everyone's trying to see that second spot to be compared against him. So it was a prediction that I called, and I'm glad to call it.
London Trevor, ladies and gentlemen. London Trevor.
3-0. It's kind of advantage now. Like that is, I think seeing Roger.
That's London's
talking
team
about
bro.
it. That's not really cool. I don't lie. That's not fair, low key.
They played the most over there. Yeah, it's
but they also know they put them over there. But it's actually advantage because they already know how to do it and how the week should go to get a W. I think the Bills flew like 3 days rest. They said, and that's like. I don't know why I had it. That's pretty obvious. Like that's common sense. Like you're gonna go somewhere, a whole new place. You need a couple more days to get. These athletes need to get a couple more days to get, to fix their schedule for this type of event. I'm pretty sure that 3 days, this first 2 days is being hectic trying to even get inside. You know what I'm saying? So that's clearly what you can maybe chalk that up to that, but still, this game was still a close game and was still in reach for Josh Allen and the Bills to win.
Hello.
Shaun, you're on mute.
Shaun, you're on mute.
Put a me.
I was like, why did he just say it?
Damn. Well, I thought he heard. I thought Jaevon heard me because I literally said, "Hi, Jaevon," and then he said, "Hello."
Difficulties. We embrace them.
I didn't realize that I was muted because he literally
This ain't
responded like
ESPN.
with perfect timing.
think you read it
Anyways,
right.
Jaevon. Yeah, potentially. So Jaevon, you sound great, and the Saints they beat
thank
the
you.
Patriots 34-0 after the Patriots lost by 35 points to the Cowboys. So Saints win 34-0.
Well, I'm very big on the Saints. I did pick them to go to the NFC Championship. This is before anything. I don't know if that looks good or
sounds
looks
crazy
bad,
now.
but they're 3-2. Derek Carr, he looked better. He didn't look great, but the defense was putting up points. So,
Dude, they played the fucking New England Patriots. You better just shit on the New England Patriots the whole clip.
I was high on the AK anytime touchdown a week too early. I said his first game back, he would score a touchdown. He scores the next game. So, yeah, I mean, the Pats are the Pats in the capability race all of a sudden, and then
Goose said, yes, worst team on offense. It's the Pats.
Just start cleaning house a little bit. Maybe Bill just, he said we're gonna reset. He said in the press conference, I think it was either today or yesterday, he's like, we're gonna reset. So,
yesterday,
I never thought Mac was the answer at all. Is it just they need a quarterback and then everything is fixed, or do you need a little bit of everything else? So, I think a quarterback is.
Don't say coach again, please. Maybe new GM, which is Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick is proven that it's a proven fact. He has a losing record without Tom Brady, and even going back to when he was a coach in Cleveland, he had a losing record when he was in Cleveland. So, we'll see if I wouldn't. I still think he's the greatest coach ever. But I mean, it was because he had Tom Brady as his quarterback. I mean, give me Tom Brady.
Yeah, but anyone in this league, you need a quarterback. He reminds me of my guy in Pittsburgh, kind of Bond. And you know what I mean? You give him something to work with. He can get you. He can get you A&A. He can get you A&A. He can get you. Hey, he can get you to something.
Manny, I picked the Saints.
You talking that good stuff.
I picked the Saints early. I was high on them before the season started. So this isn't something that's new. So yeah, watch out for the Saints, I guess.
Since we're giving credit to off-season takes, I did say the Pats were going to fucking suck, and you guys thought I was crazy.
I'll probably agree with that one.
It is time to get rid of
I said they would come in third.
Over the last 2 games, 4 picks, 2 pick sixes, fumble for a touchdown versus the Cowboys. He had 150 yards versus the Saints, 110 yards. He was outscored 69-3 and was benched in both games.
I did see a stat that Tom Brady has only thrown 4 pick sixes like in his career or something like that. Mac Jones has 4 pick sixes.
Don't let him off
like the past 2 games. So, yeah.
And for our audio only,
Seahawks, though, I'll say that.
Oh, as he sips his drink. Exactly. As for our audio only listeners, Manny replied on YouTube and he said, "That's still no excuse, Toddy." So, anyways, it's an interesting point. So, Gary, tossing it back to you because this is your squad. The Steelers they beat the Ravens 17-10.
I know I said before the show started that my team is still mid, but like we say, we're going to take the W after W. My guy, I had to go find this real quick. I'm not going on the show, so it took me a couple extra minutes to find this shirt.
And that's why you were late, because you had to be a fashionista. Got it.
Yep,
cool.
And I had to steal this little thing from First Things First 2 right here. You can read all the stats you want right there. My guy, Michael Parsons, is again beating everything but pressures. So the only thing Cam brought up earlier was pressures. That's the only thing my guy ain't top ranking at the moment, but he's killing him in QB hits, 15, tackles for loss, 7, just pure dominance. I know you guys watching the game, you can literally ask my brother. We just got done with the gym. I watched the whole game on my phone while I was doing a little bit running, trying to get some cardio in these days. And I go sit in my car and turn the first quarter last play on. And I'm like, all I'm literally saying, begging while I'm like, bro, what time? What do you see? Boom, bada bang, right there, right when you call for it. My man right there gets a big sack, game over. And Highsmith gets a sack, and my guy gets a scoop right there for the fumble, and it's pretty much game over. We all know this rivalry. We actually have one of the best. I think we have the best record against Lamar Jackson at the moment I know at least probably in our division, maybe in the NFL as well. And, it's just pure Ravens Steelers rivalry. I'm kind of mad at myself for not picking my team, because I know that anytime we come off, this is just what we are the last 3-4 years, guys. Simple as that. You bet on us and we're favorites for somebody, we're going to lose probably. My call line. We underdogs versus somebody and it's supposed to beat us, we're probably going to get you the spread and we're going to win the game, because we just like it nitty and gritty, especially against this team right here, the Ravens. No matter what year it is, it's going to be low scoring, take the under. And yeah, we got Lamar Jackson's number, simple as that. At least we scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, we just literally had 3 the whole game, and we got 14 points. Pickett to Pickens going down the sideline for the big play. At least we got that one time or 2 times again. I wish I could see a little bit more. Obviously, I don't know if you guys seen, but we're still yelling Matt Canada should be fired constantly and down in the Heinz Field now, aka
all day, every day.
Acrisure Stadium. So, I'm glad my team got a win. We're still in first place. Vaughn asked me a question in the chat. Do you think you win the division? I think I said there's a chance. There's a chance. I picked my team to make the playoffs. Kev did too, and Vaughn, just FYI, Mr. JV guys.
I drank the preseason Kool-Aid, unfortunately.
Hey,
I didn't though.
Kev, don't give up, man. We still looking good.
Hey, like I told you week 2, giving up.
Don't give up, man. We're still in the driver's seat. If anyone could do it, this team could do it, because, we play hard and we grind hard, to be honest with you.
I don't know, man. Joey B getting healthy.
Garry picked the Ravens to win this game, by the way. Just wanted to point
exactly.
I did, and I'm good. I'll follow my record being wrong. I'm glad to be wrong on that one. Thank you very much.
And something else to add about the Steelers' win against the Ravens is that Lamar Jackson, I mean, he is up there on the list of quarterbacks with the most turnovers. Yeah,
fumbles. He ain't got that many throwing turnovers. He got fumbles. That's what his problem is right now.
Well, fumbles
are turnovers.
Yeah,
right now.
God awful.
So I'm just saying, fumbles definitely contribute to the stat that I'm about to mention. But he has the most turnovers in the fourth quarter or overtime in 1-score games over the last 3 seasons. And he had 2 on Sunday, obviously, and he now has 11 over the last 3 seasons. Again, not Shaun's pop quiz, but there's 2 other guys on that list, and they're quarterbacks. And I'll even give a hint to say
Dak.
You don't. I guess. Okay, so Gary's wrong. It's not Shaun's pop quiz, but Gary's wrong.
I thought it was a turnover question. I was like, Dak.
I mean, that was a damn good guess. But if you just gave me another 5 seconds to say the other hint, is that these are quarterbacks, but also both of these guys with 9 and 8 respectively. Their last name, just like me, starts with an H. So you got quarterbacks who start with an H who have 9 and 8 turnovers in the fourth quarter and overtime in 1-score games for the last 3 seasons.
Oh, last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Dang. Who are the sucky quarterbacks?
Baker, mate. No, I'm just playing.
No.
Baker Hayfield.
Tell me all the W's. Who the hell is a W?
H.
Howard.
Quarterbacks who.
No.
All right. Well, Hal is incorrect, but Uncle Manny got
Herbert?
one of them.
Herbert
is.
Herbert's on that list. Oh my God!
Herbert's on that list. Herbert's third. He has 8, and at 9 is not Jalen Hurts. Even though that'd be funny. It'd be funny to troll Kevin, but it's definitely not Jalen Hurts. It is another quarterback from the NFC East, though. Last name starts with an H. Over the last 3 seasons.
Daniel.
The answer.
Holmes.
So the answer is the Giants or Commanders quarterback, because the Eagles have had the same quarterback.
Who are the Commanders quarterback has been changing left and right?
Who's
Carson Wentz?
Daniel Jones?
No. Haskins.
No.
He's old.
It wasn't Dwayne Haskins. R.I.P. Dwayne Haskins.
I'm sorry
it
about
wasn't
that.
him.
That's my guy.
No, you're good.
In the NFC.
All right, do you guys give up?
Yeah, we give up.
Cooper Rush.
Commanders or the
Commanders.
Giants.
The Commanders quarterback. Who is it? I don't know who the quarterback is.
Taylor Heineke.
Ah, there it
I
is.
was just saying that.
Taylor Heineke.
We're fucked up for not knowing who's good.
Taylor Heineke had 9, and then Herbert had 8. But the point of bringing that up is that Lamar Jackson has 11 over the last 3 seasons. So he's got to get it together when it comes to clutch moments late in the game.
They had a lot of drops. They had 7 drops in that game too. So.
Oh yeah, that wasn't his
8
fault.
drops, 3 for touchdowns.
They had, but you heard what they said? I guess I heard something like I forgot who brought it up.
Catching rugby balls in practice.
Rugby ball, was that on First Take or something like that?
Yes, bro. There's a drill. Rugby balls. The receivers coach throwing rugby balls at him, and they're trying to catch him like this.
I never heard that. That's dumb as hell. I'm pretty sure. I heard maybe tennis ball, smaller. You know what I'm saying? Try to get more trajectory. People try to use a tennis ball. That makes a little bit more sense, I guess. But rugby, come on, guys. Stop making Lamar look dumb. He give you dimes. Thank God.
Jaevon
this week though. Go ahead.
Sorry about that, Gary. Jaevon, the Falcons, they beat the Texans 21-19.
This was on the hotline, guys. CJ Stroud did it. When he was on the field last, drove down the field, got his team the lead, did what he was supposed to do. Defense pissed down their leg and let Desmond Ridder drive all the way down the field and proceed to kick the game-winning field goal by Younghoe Koo. And they end up winning by 2 points, and we had him +1. It's a heartbreaker. You know, you hate to lose that way, but it's just how the game goes. CJ Stroud still does not have a interception in the first 5 games of the season, and I still think the Texans will probably be a pretty good team, very feisty team this year. But I don't think they should have lost this game. It was kind of back and forth. Desmond Ridder, a lot of people were kind of calling for his head, but he played pretty well down the stretch, led a game-winning drive, and they ended up winning. So, Bijan, I feel like anytime you get Bijan like in wide open space, he's going to make at least 2 guys miss. So if you're like coming up on Bijan and there's like, you know, a bunch of greenery in front of him, he's going to get by you in some type of way. So I feel like the Falcons and Arthur Smith have to just figure out a way to get him by in open space, and he'll just be able to make a lot of more plays happen. But yeah, Falcons win.
Kevin, the Lions, they beat the Panthers 42-24.
Shit, man. The Lions are for real. The Lions are a real deal in the NFC. We posted a TikTok last week if they're real contenders in the NFC, and we had a bigger amount for yes than no's. So they scored 42 points without their arguably 2 most explosive players in Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. For them to go in there and do that just goes to show that Jared Goff is truly the best quarterback in this division. Going for 20 for 28, 236 yards, 3 touchdowns, and even got a rushing touchdown. David Montgomery. So since we're talking about fantasy, let me give you a little fantasy story. Alyssa asked me before the game, Gibbs or Montgomery? I said, babe, Montgomery's coming off an injury. Go Gibbs. First touchdown. It's all good, babe. It was lucky. It was a goal line. Second touchdown. All right, babe, I might have fucked up. Third touchdown. Yeah, I fucked up. That was on me. But David Montgomery has come in and completely changed his offense. I thought before the season that he was going to come in and play the Jamal Williams role, and that's exactly what he's doing. Jamal Williams led the NFL in rushing touchdowns last season, and David Montgomery is on the way. He also has 371 rushing yards. So it's
the system, Kev?
It's a system, man. You know, you just plug in and plug out. You take out Jamal Williams, you plug in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and you get the same result. So this team is looking scary. I saw the unfortunate injury. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he just came back from an ACL tear and then tore his ACL yesterday.
Manny Mosley.
Yes, Manny Mosley. So I couldn't even believe it. Like the Trayvon Diggs shit is still sad. Like
speedy recovery
thing at the end, but on the first game back, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, former Niner. Breaks my heart. It would for anyone, but especially since Jaevon and I watched him ball out for years with San Francisco. All right, so Gary, the Dolphins, they bounced back with the 31-16 win against the Giants.
HM.
As I predicted, the Dolphins were going to. Oh, I did not pick that. My win total goes up 1 and -1. I messed up on my math. Just FYI, I just forgot to click that.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't already know, Gary's obsessed with this pick'em because he's in first, and it's the first time he's been in first in anything.
I am.
I'm betting on it, Gary.
I am. I need to start betting right now. I'm getting too much right. I'm like, hold on, this is not how. This is the first year I haven't betted yet. I've been waiting because I usually bet, and by the end of the year, I'm like break even. So I'm gonna start a little later this year. But I should have started this year early. Anyways, the Dolphins do what they're supposed to do after a tough loss against Buffalo last week. Go versus a team that could barely score any points, barely score 16. And, Tyreek Hill, again, the best wide receiver, in my opinion, in the league, goes for 181 yards. I looked right now to see where he's at for the season because I know I said he has a chance to beat the 2,000 record. He's sitting at 651 right now, guys. He's still chopping away. I still feel like he has a chance. It's going to be tough maybe because he probably needs to be in a little higher pace right now, but maybe he can rack it up towards these couple games here when they play because the Dolphins – for some reason, he throws the peace sign out so much. It's just ridiculous. What's that?
His parlay. Is it legit if he does it in 17 games, Gary? Or does he have to do it in 16?
I think it's so tough that if he does it in 17, I think everyone will still give him his credit because he's a dominant receiver type person. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think that way. I think that's what I think a lot of people will give him his respect as they should because he's dominating the league. So, but they got the W as they should. The Giants are lost. They should blow that thing up, and it kind of sucks. They literally just paid the quarterback and basically paid the running back for the year who's not going to be playing. So, mishandled that situation, and the Dolphins are on a bounce back W, and let's see what they do next week. Another good win for them.
Jaevon, the Bengals, they beat the Cardinals 34-20.
That was me showing you guys the Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers. We were talking about baseball before the pod started, but that's neither here nor there.
Jaevon's favorite sport.
Getting to the Bengals and the Cards. I kind of thought the Cards would put up a little bit more of a fight in this game, not knowing what Joe Burrow would do. Jamar Chase proved that he is open apparently all the time. And please show me the 3 touchdown parlays for Jamar Chase. I would love to see them. Those are probably like plus 6,000. And you would have won a lot of money betting on Jamar Chase this past weekend. However, another fantasy soliloquy incoming. I had Jamar Chase in fantasy, 50 points. Feel like it's a good thing.
I had Joe Burrow in all my leagues, guys.
So it was a great thing. It was a great, just great all over the place. Are the Bengals back? Is Joe Burrow back? I don't know. People were saying there's zip on the ball when Joe Burrow throws the ball. They're not just checking down every single time. So I did fleece Shaun for the T. Higgins trade. That will be the greatest heist in fantasy history. A lot of people didn't believe in it. Nobody in the group chat believed in it, but you got to see the bigger picture here. Got to see the bigger picture.
Anything is possible.
But I just think the Bengals people, maybe they have to RELAX on the Bengals a little bit, and we'll see. It's a long season. Yeah.
Gary's pissed.
Shaun, you're still muted. Sorry, still muted.
I'm sorry. I've been snacking right now, as everyone can see on YouTube.
Hey man, hey Von, bro. I just seen it, bro. Are you serious? I just lost in fantasy by 2 points to you. 3 points.
Let's go.
I was killing him, bro. Like I'm talking like he had like 30 points yesterday.
Who Goon Squad was?
I was like up 120. I'm like, what?
I got my fantasy up too.
I'm looking at this. I'm like, he beat me by like 3 points. I got a robbery.
Let's go, baby.
That was a robbery. And I was 3-1 too, looking nice.
Chase carried.
Whoever just Super Squad is, take that L.
Bro,
that's Julian. He was in first place. Look at that. You got Jamar Chase
in there.
Jamar
Chase
with
26 on the bench. And then
Jamar Chase. Somehow, every time I see Tyreek Hill score 32, I just think whoever has him wins. Until you have Jamar Chase on the other side scoring 52.
Carry.
So congrats to Jaevon on that big win. Justin Fields on the bench as well. But, I mean, like you said, Brock Purdy, he put up 26, and Jaevon fleeced me. It was a trade where I traded Brock Purdy and Drake London of the Falcons for T. Higgins and wait. Yeah.
I traded you T.
I traded Brock and Drake London. You traded Daniel Jones and T. Higgins. Everyone said it was a fleece for me, but apparently Jaevon fleeced me. And I want to give a shout-out to Jesse, Gary's brother, because he just gave me my first win in our Stats Over Politics Fantasy Football League with a whopping score of 84. I win with a whopping score of 84. So I'm no longer winless in that league. So that's fantastic. Anyways, now moving on. I wanted to get Kevin's thoughts on this next game. because the Eagles, they beat the Rams. We already talked about that. But Kevin, what I wanted to hear you talk about was the Jets beating the Broncos 31-21, and they did it for Nathaniel Hackett.
Bet on this game.
Hey, man. Hell yeah. They did it for Nathaniel Hackett. I was really happy to see that they're finally adjusting to Zach Wilson. You know, all offseason, it was Aaron Rodgers. Now that we've seen 5 weeks of Zach Wilson, we're finally starting to see him play a little bit better. And, you know, coming into this game, all the questions was last game against Patrick Mahomes a fluke. Like Toddy mentioned, if anyone watched that game and didn't watch any football all year, and that's the first game you watch, you say, Mom and Dad, the guy on this team is a lot better than the guy on the red team. And that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy that he outplayed Patrick Mahomes. So for them to ride on that momentum, and we all know the Sean Payton going on there and saying that it was the worst coaching job in NFL history, and then he was backtracking it and saying that your team's not going to wear this on the sideline or this on the sideline. So for them to come in there, and I think it's CJ Usmanzada. I don't know how to say his last name, but before before the game, they were letting them know that the coach talked about it. So fuck them, fuck him, and we're gonna go. And they went out there and did their thing. So I'm happy to see them, and I'm finally happy to see Breece Hall get the ball a lot. I was really nervous when Dalvin Cook was going to come in. I thought they were going to have to split reps a lot, but now we're seeing Breece Hall that he's finally healthy. He's no longer on a snap count. We saw him bust for that 74-yarder. So they're looking really well, and the Broncos are looking like complete shit. They should be winless, but they fuck around and beat Justin Fields. So the Bear or the Broncos, are going down a spiral hole. And are they going to ship everybody? Are they going to draft a quarterback? I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns about the Broncos.
And as Manny says in the YouTube comments, his damn bench outscored his starters, and he got absolutely whooped by Wes. This is for everyone who's not in our league to know how things are going.
Why is Sean showing everybody scoring everybody there, bro?
I'm just waiting for Kevin's score to go up there, bro. Jeez, I put my time in.
Hey, I got you, Kevin. Don't worry. But I wanted to show that real quickly as Wes absolutely, again, Wes whooped on Manny because he's been telling us all season how his top 3 picks that were all receivers are going to win him the league. But apparently this week, his bench was better than his starters. And as Kevin mentioned, he took down the first place team in our league, being Julian's Super Squad.
There
There you go. So everyone on stats, it was Julian, but Kevin just beat him, so he might have gotten knocked down a peg. And then Manny was in second. He just lost. So
it would have been
things are gonna reshuffle.
He done did me dirty, bro. He done did me dirty with this one.
Only way to go is up, fellas.
It looks like Uncle Manny lost too. So did the top 4 teams in our league lost. So things are shuffling around. It's going to be interesting in the Stats Over Politics.
That means next week it'll be clutch. So I got my
Manny says, "Don't worry, we'll bounce back." And that's it for the updates of the Stats Over Politics Fantasy Football League. And now moving on, Gary, as you would love to say, the baby goat, Patrick Mahomes. He led the Chiefs to a 27-20 victory over the Vikings. And this was significant because Patrick Mahomes beat the Vikings for the first time in his career, and he has officially defeated all 31 different teams. Thank you, Gary, for saying that for me because I was struggling to get those words out. And so he actually became the youngest to do so at 28 years old. Next on the list was Tom Brady at 30 and Peyton Manning at 31. So, Gary, what do you think about the Chiefs beating the Vikings 27-20?
I know the Taylor Swift fans are not happy she wasn't there, but my guy Travis Kelce got injured, came back with the W. This Minnesota Viking teams be throwing turnovers left and right in the first half. I think they got the most turnovers up there, and I think NFL history the first half turnovers because they just be fumbling away. I don't know what they be doing ball security over there, but they need some help. Again, this team is just wheeling and dealing. They're 4-1. They probably could easily be 5-0. Remember, they lost that first game to the Lions by 1 point. They could easily be in the discussion with the Niners and the Cowboys. They kind of are sleepwalking in the background just because you guys are both undefeated and things of that nature. But hey, it's all good. They're just, like I said, they're that team that just wait. They're gonna be waiting at the end for both of you guys to see at the finish line that Super Bowl. So again, Patrick Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes things. just getting in there, getting the dubs as they can. Whoever's on the field, whoever's there, then getting it done. Simple as that. And I like how they got Pacheco now again there a lot. I got him in my fantasy, so I'm happy he's been cooking in the backfield as well, getting him more on the fold. And, I was going to mention, too, I think, I don't know if y'all know, this team has a common theme. This is going to be hurtful, I ain't going to lie. This team has a common place in both of your guys' hearts, just to let you guys know. The last time you guys lost, and the last time I actually made money on the Niners, Shaun left. This is the last time y'all lost. This is the last time Brock Purdy, I believe, lost. Vaughn was to this team right here. And we already know what happened with Kev in the bowl. So this team is going to be your guys' nightmare as you guys all drop, and I'll be a solo dolo show. And it's all fine with me because this team is both of your guys' kryptonite. And I'm sorry to hear it. I know you guys want to hate them so much. This is a baby goat show. Stats over politics. Welcome. All right. Well, show's over, guys.
All right.
Okay,
let's wrap it up.
I'm sorry, I had to be a little dramatic there, and once I saw Kevin left the screen, I had to remove Jaevon from the screen too, and the baby goat show.
I knew he was going to say, I finally got my stuff working. Last thing I'm about to do is about to leave.
As we move on here on episode number 55 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Kevin Dent, Jaevon Toddy, and Garry Singh. Kevin, I know it's nearing 10 o'clock here on the West Coast, so you got to depart from the podcast soon, but before you go, it's your favorite time of the week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we are coming with a hot question to start it off. So, Toddy, I'm going to go to you first. Factor cap. Bijan Robinson is already a top 3 running back in the NFL.
Third already?
So let me tell you his yards.
His numbers
on the ground, he has 364 yards, receiving 146 yards. He's averaging 7.1 yards per catch, and he has 510 total yards from scrimmage.
He's really good. He's really good. I said he was going to win Rookie of the Year. I think it's McCaffrey. Like the 3 best running backs, I'd say like right now, like in the NFL. I think A-Chain is in there too, as far as like his yards. I don't think he's a top 3 back. Bijan already. CMC.
Mixon and Henry got the most yards, I think, up
Mixon. I don't think Derrick Henry's been playing that good lately.
So the yards goes McCaffrey 510, A-Chan 460, Zach Moss 445, DeAndre Swift 434, Travis Etienne 396, Breece Hall 387, David Montgomery 371, and David Robinson and James Conner tied with 364.
I'm gonna say it's early, so I'm gonna say cap that he's not a top 3 already, but I feel like probably by the end of the season he might be top 3 because his numbers are just insane. He's gonna score because he can line up in the slot and he can catch out of the backfield and he can run between the tackles. So I was high on Bijan like his sophomore year in college. I was like, yeah, this guy's gonna be a monster. So I'm gonna say cap for right now, but probably by the end of the season, he will definitely be in that conversation.
All right, Garry, I'm gonna bring it to you next. Factor cap. Bijan Robinson is already a top 3 running back in the NFL.
To be honest with you, I think he is right now top 3 running back at this moment right now. Maybe at the end of the season we can see, but like you said, it goes like McCaffrey, Bijan, and to be honest, you can mix up a lot of it. I think McCaffrey is for sure number 1 right now. You got to give it to him of the dominant start he has had so far to this season and all the different ways they're using them. Obviously, I think Swift obviously can be in there. And there's a couple guys in there who you can mix around. We also talked about the Jets guy earlier, too, he's going crazy as well. Yeah, so I feel there's a lot of guys in the mix right now, but I do believe Bijan Robinson, to be honest, Atlanta ain't got nothing. So he's literally the engine right there. So he's everything right now, so he deserves to be that top guy right now in the league. So, yeah, in fact, I believe Bijan Robinson is a top 3 running back in the NFL.
All right, Shaun, I'm going to come to you next. Factor cap. Is Bijan Robinson already a top 3 running back in the NFL?
This is cap. It's been 5 games. We're already overreacting to what we've seen after 5 games. I'm not personally. Christian McCaffrey, to me, is the best running back in the NFL, as was already mentioned. Then I think of other names like Garry mentioned.
Swift.
No, not a DeAndre Swift, but a what? Let's be
honest.
Chubb.
Chubb should be up there. He'd be up there right now if he wasn't injured. If he didn't tear his stuff, he for sure, I think he'd be up there. I just want to mention his name.
AK.
And I'm glad you did. In this discussion, I'll at least take Bijan Robinson over AK. But as Gary mentioned, you have a Nick Chubb when healthy. I'm taking Christian McCaffrey. And I'm even taking Derrick Henry or Joe Mixon over him. And then let's not forget about the guy who just returned this past weekend in Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, he kind of fell off a little bit last year, but he was the best running back in the NFL in 2021, and that's hard to dispute. And so just given that I've seen a lot more from him, I would take Saquon when healthy, but we don't really know when he's healthy anymore. Anyways, point is, Kevin, the answer to this question is cap.
Josh Jacobs.
So we have one fact and two caps. So factor cap, Bijan Robinson is already a top 3 running back in the NFL. We talked about the number 1 spot is solidified with Christian McCaffrey. The number 2 spot, it could be argued, but I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift. And for that third guy, there, as of right now,
Henry's up there.
You can't say he's not. He has more rushing yards than Derrick Henry. As of right now, today, October 9th, if we had to make a top 3 running back list and you leave Swift off of it, you're fucking insane. Excuse my language. But 3, Bijan Robinson, I would love to put him in there. I made this question. I've been going back and forth all day, but I'm going to have to say this is cap. Like Shaun said, we've only seen 5 games. It is the Atlanta Falcons. So let's take it with what we can. But to put in that third spot, Travis Etienne has been fucking playing out of his mind. You can put him in there. You can put Breece Hall in there. Yes, we have the OGs, the Derrick Henrys, the Nick Chubbs, Alvin Kamara's, but we can only go off of what we do. And like Toddy says, I'm a what have you done for me lately kind of guy.
Prisoner of the moment is what he is.
If you ain't done it for me the past 5 games, I don't care what you did.
And then A-Chain's up there then. We got to mention him.
Yeah, but I would take DeAndre.
I know you did. I'm just saying, though.
I mean, yeah, he can be third for sure. He definitely should be in the mix for top 3, 100%. So that's the name that I did forget. But there's a lot of things that Bijan brings to the table running and offensively, but I'm definitely going to go cap. So moving for this next one. Gary, I'm going to come to you first.
No.
Fact or cap? The Detroit Lions are a top 3 team in the NFC.
Ooh, top 3 team in the NFC. I think. Well, I'm looking at the standings just to refresh my memory. It's basically you guys, exactly. It's you guys, those 2 top teams. I think I'm gonna say fact. I think the Detroit Lions a little bit better than the Rams. I think they're a little bit better. Who else? Seattle, Dallas. We've seen that will happen this weekend. Washington, Chicago. Yes, we all know it's those top 2 teams. And Detroit has been winning and handling business week after week. Obviously, they already beat the only team that had handed the Super Bowl champions that lost this season so far, like I mentioned earlier, by 1 point. And so, Detroit, they're top 3. They are the 3rd best team in NFC behind, obviously, the Eagles and then the Niners. I put that in order on purpose. And I think the real reason is that there's no other one that's really under them, really in the boat as them right now is those top 2. It kind of goes those top 2 teams, and then I guess everyone else, but I guess the head leading pack is the Lions. The Lions is a good team. Don't get me wrong, Lions, like I told my cousin Gerber again, he mentioned he's the only Lions fan I only know that, this is the time for them to, they should be really, I'm not going to lie, guys, kind of remember the Kings last year, like very happy that they made the playoffs, and they should be excited about the future, and that's how they should feel. I don't know about Super Bowl expectations like your guys' teams have, and they must have because of the expectations and the things they have set, but I feel like the Detroit Lions, the way they've been playing so far this year, they deserve to be top 3. And, yeah, they're really the team that, they might make some noise in the playoffs, but you're really just seeing them, all right, make the next step and the next step. They're still a couple of steps behind to really put in themselves in the upper echelon of the NFC. But, yeah, they're top 3. I know Mr. Manny wants Seattle to be the 3rd team, but I guess you could put that as a merry-go-round right there.
Spoken into existence. For the audio-only listeners, Manny ranks it Eagles, Niners, Seattle, then Detroit.
I don't know if he
so Todd, I'm going to come to you next. Factor cap. The Detroit Lions are a top 3 team in the NFC.
I'm going to say cap. I think the Saints are a top 3 team in the NFC.
They did beat Detroit.
I'm sticking to my guns. Well, they haven't played Detroit yet, but they do play them, I think.
No, Seahawks did.
Well, Seahawks did, yeah. But I think the Saints are a top 3 team. So I just think the way that their defense is set up, I think they have a top 5 to 10-ish defense. I think their weapons are solid. You have Olave, you have Slant Boy, and Michael Thomas, who was once upon a time a top 5 wide receiver in the league. They just got Alvin Kamara back. I feel like if Derek Carr, he just needs to get settled into this new offense and trying to get everybody kind of acclimated with the offense. It might take them.
They ain't beat no one yet.
I mean, you can argue the Steelers haven't beat anybody yet, but the NFC is very top heavy. It's very, it's really just, it's just one and two. It's really the Eagles and the Niners, and then pretty much everybody else after. It's pretty much everybody else after that. Manny does not like me liking the Saints. I'm sticking to my guns.
I
thought you said get off his other stuff.
I think they.
What he wanted to say.
I think they're a solid team. Let's see, Manny, do the Saints and the Seahawks play? It's really just they're battling for scratch at this point. Who's going to be the third best team? It's 1 and 2. I feel like it's just it's the Niners and the Eagles versus everybody pretty much in the NFC. Versus in the AFC, it's kind of like a mixture of Bills. It's a mixture of
Chiefs versus everybody else.
Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, Ravens. It wasn't Jets, but they lost to Miami. Yeah, I love Harry Smith Steelers. But I just think I'm high on the Saints. I think they got a really good team, and I feel like if Carr can kind of just put all the pieces together and make things happen. I mean, you can say whatever team that you want to say when it's your turn, but I think it is the Saints. So I'm going to say. I was reading
what Manny just said. Carr over Geno. Who you taking? You taking Carr?
Give me Carr.
That's a hot take. So, Shaun, I'm going to come in next. So, the Detroit Lions, a top 3 team in the NFC. Back to Cap.
You know, I'm going to give everyone a little bit of behind the scenes here. These questions were originally drafted last week, but we didn't get a chance to do Factor Cap last week because last week's episode was just too long as is. Last week, I would have said that this is Cap because I would have said that the Dallas Cowboys are easily the third best team in the NFC. After what I saw yesterday, this is a fact. And this is the first time I've said fact in a while on Factor Cap, but this is a fact. And the reason why is because the Cowboys, they not only lost to the Cardinals, but they didn't just lose to the 49ers. They got the brakes beat off of them. And then I know Manny's in the comments as a Seattle fan, and he's saying Eagles, Niners, Seattle, then Detroit. And he's saying they lost to us, they being the Lions. Okay, they lost in overtime to the Seahawks. That is a fact. But guess what, Manny? The Seahawks lost to the Rams in week 1. They didn't just lose to them. They got smacked. The Rams won 30-13. So if the Seahawks can't beat the Rams, and I know it was a divisional game, but if the Seahawks can't beat the Rams at home when they're supposed to have one of the best fan bases in the NFL, the 12s, if they can't beat the Rams and even be within a double-digit deficit, I mean, because they lost by 17 points. They couldn't lose by single points. They got the break speed off of them. And Manny says he's ashamed of all of us. That's over politics. The Seahawks lost to the Rams.
I was going to sweep the Seahawks.
They beat the Lions in overtime. Yeah, I mean, at this point, based on yesterday, and I'm trying not to the Bills lost to the Jets week 1. Yes, they did. But they lost by what? 6 points? How many points did the Seahawks lose to the Rams by? 17. Okay. So, anyways, that's rambling, but Kevin, it's a fact.
Tell them. Well, damn, man, if you don't like what they're saying, you're definitely not going to like what I'm going to say. So, Factor Cap, the Detroit Lions are a top 3 team in the NFC. Hell yeah. And it comes down to them in Seattle. We all know 1 and 2 is the Eagles and Niners. Like Garry said, I put it in that order for a reason. But it comes down to the quarterback play. It's Geno and it's Derek Carr. I didn't believe in Derek Carr in the black and gold or in the black and silver. I don't believe in the black and gold. So we can throw the Saints out of there. I know Toddy's a huge Saints believer. So it comes down to Geno and Jared Goff. I'm going to take Jared Goff, and he didn't need him to write back. He didn't need him to write back because they took him number 1. So Jared Goff has been coming and balling out. This defense is phenomenal. I don't know what episode it was, but Toddy was on. I think you two were gone when Manny came on and preach that the Seahawks just need the front six. You know, they're lacking in the D line, they're lacking in the O line, and that's where Detroit is flourishing. They're drafting well, and they're just on a better prosper than the Seahawks, just due to their division. If this divisions are switched, my answer is different, but I have to be thinking forward. I think the Lions will finish as a top 3 seed.
We beat the Lions.
All right, well, there you go. There you have it. And Kevin, do you want to stick around to talk about the Ohio State win against Maryland, or do you got to cut out of here?
I got to take Blue to the bathroom. I can't. He's sitting here.
All right, well, Blue, Kevin, hope you guys have a great night. We'll catch you guys next week on episode number 56 of Stats Over Politics. Yeah, Ohio State, they beat Maryland, Jaevon. It didn't look good early on, but they went on to beat Maryland, which is something that I was happy to see as the Buckeyes won 37-17. The final score is a little more lopsided than what it really was. Nevertheless, the Ohio State Buckeyes, the number 4 team in the nation, they win. And so that wasn't the game of the weekend, though, Jaevon, as there were some crazy outcomes, including involving your USC Trojans, as they escaped in 3 overtimes against Arizona. You fell asleep because of an allergy pill, but what you missed, and I'm sure what you caught up on Sunday morning, is the fact that USC tried to give that game away. And so as a USC fan, are you a little concerned based on what you saw from that game?
I think it's just very like whenever you go into a season like, all right, we're a top 5-7 team in the league or in the country, and we're like, all right, we got Caleb Williams, he's going to lead us to the promised land, and you're seeing we're putting up 50, 60 points on Nevada, or we're putting up all these points against low-level teams, Stanford, and then we kind of just start to fuck around a little bit playing against Colorado. You're up 34-14 at halftime, and then all of a sudden Colorado you let them creep into the game. And then you play Arizona, and the game goes into 3 overtimes when you're favored by 21 points to win the game. I don't think that's how it's supposed to go. So I think we need to fire our defensive coordinator, Alex Grinch, who's been with Lincoln Riley since the Oklahoma days. So it's kind of been the common theme of Lincoln Riley's teams. Their offense can put up 60, but they're going to probably give up 60. And that's really to anybody. It could be to a Georgia, or it could be to a Arizona team. Really, anybody can put up points on this team, and it's very frustrating when you have a generational talent and Caleb Williams, knowing that any given Saturday that you can win pretty much any game when you have him at quarterback. So he gives you a fighting chance pretty much every single Saturday. But when the defense is giving up as many points as it does, it's hard to, even me being a USC fan, it's hard to, face reality and say, okay, we're going to win a national championship when other teams putting up 40 points against us. So it's tough, but I'm not giving up on USC yet because they are going to be on the hotline, later in the show. But yeah, you kind of put the game in Caleb Williams' hands and just say, go win us the game. With the ISO play at the end, the insane play that we kind of did. It was pretty much him versus the linebacker. You beat him to the pylon, and you score. And we ended up winning the game, which was crazy because I kind of forgot that we were playing so late, but we usually play that little late 7:30 game window. And went to 3 overtimes. And when it gets to 3 overtimes, you just go for 2. They pretty much line the ball. Each team gets a chance at like 2.5-yard line, and it's essentially like a 2-point conversion, and you go for 2. And it was heartbreaking. It was too much to handle against an unranked opponent.
Too close to handle, man. 3 OTs.
Man, it was an entertaining game down the stretch, and that one play that Jaevon referenced where Caleb Williams was just a man among boys, and you could tell that he hit leg day with how he was able to basically have a guy tackle him, jump on his back, and he still was just churning and reached the ball across, got in the end zone for the touchdown. And Garry, I know that you got to cut out of here as well. And so your final thoughts before Jaevon and I continue with some college football and Vonny's Hotline.
Peace, man. Have a great week. Check out my week this week. I think we're still number 1 overall on the record, so I'm going to keep mentioning that. So, yeah, another positive 500 week. And go catch Von's Hotline next. It'll get you some money, too. So, peace, y'all. Appreciate it. Catch y'all later.
All right, so we'll see Garry next week. And
Just
Jaevon,
me and you.
Just me and you. It's like Shaun and Vonn all over again. And so that wasn't just the only games of the college football slate with Ohio State and USC, our teams, but number 12 Oklahoma, they upset number 3 Texas 34-30 in the Red River rivalry game. And with number 3 going down, my Ohio State Buckeyes, they seem like they're moving on up. So what did you think about the Red River rivalry game? That's a little bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah, the Red River rivalry was insane. I can say with ease because I'm a gambler, so I say it throughout the week. Kind of shocked that you got, well, I wouldn't say shocked, but I would have thought that Oklahoma would have jumped you guys into the top 4, but you guys are 3rd, I believe now, you guys being Ohio State. I was very shocked by this outcome. I didn't think that Dylan Gabriel would have kind of came out and be the difference in this game, but he kind of was, especially on his feet. I think he rushed for at least 118 yards. Quinn Ewers pretty much threw the game away early with those 2 interceptions. It's hard to win close rivalry games when you're turning the ball over and giving the ball to the other team, and they pretty much turned those turnovers into points, and that was kind of the story of the game. But somehow, some way, Ewers ends up driving down the field with, I think, under a minute left to give them the go-ahead touchdown to kind of, just go up in the game. I think for the Hotline, this definitely ruined the Hotline. But I think even when they scored, they weren't going to cover the 7. But the line ended up dropping throughout the week to, I believe it was 4.5 was what it was on Friday night. And then Gabriel ends up getting the ball, driving the length of the field, and ends up scoring the touchdown to win the game with like 16 seconds left. It was an insane game. Very exciting to watch. Usually the Red River rivalry games are very exciting, except for last year when Texas won 49-0. However, that did not affect them. It was pretty cool because Baker Mayfield was on like game day. He was talking all this shit. I saw like it was like a Canes commercial. Baker was working at Canes, and they also had Vince Young at the same Canes, and they were kind of like going at it. I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, they're always fun. Texas, Oklahoma. You're seeing all the Sooners, doing the horns down signs, this, that, and third. But maybe I should have picked the Sooners because Caleb Williams was a former Oklahoma Sooner.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. And as you mentioned, the Ohio State Buckeyes, they moved up 1 spot to number 3. Also, Florida State moved up 1 spot to number 4. So that's currently your top 4, even though we're still a ways away from the college football playoff rankings, as that's the AP top 25. Oklahoma moves up 7 spots from number 12 to number 5. Texas moves back 6 spots from 3 to 9. And the USC Trojans, despite getting a win,
10.
they moved back 1 spot, and they are now at
AP
number 10.
does not like us.
So what's funny about the rankings right now is Alabama is sandwiched between your 2 favorite teams, being USC and UNC, Northern Carolina. And so that's kind of entertaining. But some of the other games from this past weekend, Jaevon, because that wasn't it. It was a wild day in college football on Saturday.
Miami game?
Yes, Miami, they lost. So UCLA, they upset number 13 Washington State. Georgia Tech, they upset number 17 Miami. Number 25 Louisville upset number 10 Notre Dame, and Wyoming, they beat number 24 Fresno State. And so regardless of what you want to talk about, just were there other games that really piqued your intrigue?
I was kind of shocked that Louisville came on the road beating, or not on the road, they were at home beating Notre Dame. Notre Dame was coming on about an emotional win against Duke earlier last week. I did see Rico Flores go down with an injury in that game. I'm not sure if it was too serious, but I did see him go down in that game. Donovan Mitchell was at this game, who was a Louisville alumni. He was on the field kind of making things happen. Saw that the Miami game was insane on how I think they were up 3 with like like 20 seconds left, and all they had to do was, kneel the ball down. But no, Mario Cristobal, I don't even think this is the first time this has happened. I think this happened to him similarly at Oregon, to where he had a chance to just kneel the ball, and a guy makes a play on the ball, strips the ball, gives Georgia Tech Haynes King of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They go down and they score, and they win the game. So I even saw there was a close up shot of a Miami guy who's like, "What the fuck are we doing?" He's like crying and shit.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was insane. So, yeah, Miami had a great win over Texas A&M early in the year, and then for them to kind of come down and lose, they go into it was a very highly anticipated North Carolina game, which they were going into this Saturday. But it takes a little bit of air out of it when they lose a game against Georgia Tech that they shouldn't have lost. But that was a wild weekend. I didn't even think this weekend coming up it's going to be insane. The slate is crazy. I can't wait.
Man, you just tossed me a lob because I was about to mention it. So let me dunk it in. As you got a top 10 matchup in the Pac-12 with number 8 Oregon at number 7 Washington, and then another top 20. I was wondering if that was about to be on the hotline. Something else that could be on the hotline is another top 25 matchup between your USC Trojans at number 10 and the number 21 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Miami, number 25, they play number 12 North Carolina, and number 18 UCLA plays at number 15 Oregon State. So without spoiling the hotline, because we're going to get to that in a couple minutes here on episode 55 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Jaevon Toddy, of the upcoming weekend slate of college football, which game intrigues you the most of those 4 top 25 matchups that I mentioned?
I mean, it's got to be USC Notre Dame right now, but I think the best game of the weekend is probably the Oregon Washington game. That's a lot of people are really high on Michael Penix and how powerful that their offenses look throughout the first couple of weeks of college football, and then there's Oregon who kind of just look dominant. Besides the Texas Tech game, pretty much the whole season, blowing out Colorado 42-6, and them just looking dominant pretty much. Bo Nix on a Heisman tear. Another game that's really, really good this weekend is the Miami North Carolina game. I think there's going to be a lot of pretty much all the big games that you kind of mentioned. There's going to be a lot of I would think NFL scouts at most of those games, just based off of the talent alone on pretty much all of the teams. But the game of the weekend is probably Oregon, Washington, but my bias will say that it's USC, Notre Dame, because we did beat them last year, but we are going on the road this time. So hopefully it doesn't go 3 overtimes, because I don't know if my heart can take that.
Yeah, it was probably good for you that you slept through it when it was live, because it was wild. It was certainly a wild game, and I agree with you. I'm most looking forward to that top 10 matchup of Oregon and Washington.
I think they moved that game. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I think the time slots for USC and Notre Dame and the Oregon Washington game were in the same time slots. So I think they moved that time slot down to where it's going to be a night game. I think it's an ABC game if I'm not mistaken. So it would have been, I think earlier in the day, like 12:30, the 12:30 Pacific Standard Time for any East Coast listeners that we may or may not have. 12:30 Pacific Standard Time is the Notre Dame USC game, and then the later window, I think, which is like 4:30 Pacific Standard Time, 4:30 window ABC game. That's probably what's going to be on, is the Oregon Washington matchup.
Yep, you nailed it. At 12:30 Pacific Standard Time on ABC, as you got that top 10 matchup in the Pac-12, and then move back was USC at Notre Dame. That's going to start at 4:30 on NBC. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great weekend of college football. It was this past weekend. We got another one coming up, and we're going to talk about college football again next week here on Stats Over Politics. But Jaevon, now it's time for what has become one of my favorite segments, and that is Vonny's Hotline. You were 10-10 after 5 weeks. Update the people. How did the Hotline do this past week? And we want to hear the picks coming up for this weekend so we know where to put our money.
Well, so last week we went 500. Texas, man. Texas. Quinn Ewers, he was not for the people. I think a lot of people were high on Texas too, kind of going into a lot of people were kind of sleeping on Oklahoma a little bit. And that kind of, Oklahoma came out and they did their thing. Hats off to them. They're a top 5 team in the country. You got to give them credit where credit is due. How good is Texas? We're not so sure because they did beat Alabama. And people say, oh, they beat Nick Saban. How good is Alabama really? So people are starting to pull back on the long courts. Second game, we had the Alabama Crimson Tide going on the road against Texas A&M to cover the spread on that, and it was 2.5 that we had the Crimson Tide at, and they ended up winning by 6. A&M scored late, which would have ended up the game would have been tied or something like that, and they called the guy ended up stepping out of bounds. So the guy, and I was like, oh God, thank you. I don't need another I don't need another losing week on the hotline. So Alabama ends up holding them to a field goal and they end up getting the ball back, and A&M never sees the ball. A lot of people were picking A&M to win this game because the line kept on dropping. Rumors were kind of being spreaded that Jalen Milroe was hurt during the practice leading up to the game, so I don't really see too much from him. Jermaine Burton, a lot of people need to look out for, the Alabama receiver. I think he had like 2 touchdowns, 150 yards receiving. Dude is a stud. I'm just going to say that right now. So if you're looking for a guy to bet on, maybe in the incoming weeks, prop bets, look out for Jermaine Burton. Going into Sunday, we had the Texans. CJ Stroud, we had the Texans +1. CJ Stroud, I can't put this loss on him. I cannot put this loss on CJ Stroud. Went down the field. I bet on CJ Stroud in the past, and even though he's an Ohio State quarterback, I've always given Stroud his respect from day one. I've always thought that he was, even though he's an Ohio State quarterback, I've always thought that he was actually really good. And even going into the pros, the season that he's having is historical. They go down, score, and they go up by 1 point. I was never a fan of them being up by 1, but if you would have went for 2 and went up by 2, it really doesn't make sense anyway because they can still kick a field goal and win. Defense kind of pissed down their leg and let Desmond Ridder drive down the field and win the game. And they ended up winning by 2, which means that we lose by technicality. So 1-2. And then all roads lead down to San Francisco 49ers. Oh, they were really worried. I was like, all right, since we lost earlier in the day, I was like, you know what? The Niners are going to bring us back. We're going to be all good. I was never really worried that they weren't going to cover because, it's 3.5. People are like, well, what if they win by field goal? I was like, we're going to blow them out. So Niners end up covering the 3.5 on Sunday Night Football. Doesn't get any better than that, so we end up going 2-2. I do want to point out that I did hit a parlay for it was a 4-teamer, mixed a little bit of baseball in there. We had the Rangers on there. Had the Jets. I did have the Jets. Jesus Christ, I bet on Zach Wilson again. Had Zach Wilson, and then
living dangerous.
I had the Niners on there as well. And what was the last game on there? So I had the Rangers, I had the Jets, Niners.
Was it another baseball game?
Oh, I had the Chiefs. -3, and they ended up covering for me. So shout out to Patty Mahomes, baby. I was very excited, very excited. I'll show you what we hit for. I posted it in the group, the Stats Over Politics group chat, but we talk so much shit in there. A lot of things end up getting misconstrued. So moving on to this week, baby. It's just I don't know if it's just me, but as a gambler, whenever you're about to place a parlay, you get that little rush of just like, this might hit and we might be all good to go. So I kind of mentioned it earlier. We talked about it in college football. We got 2 college and we got 2 NFL again. Sticking to my guns, man. Trojans on the road, +110 at Notre Dame in South Bend. Gotta roll with the Trojans here, man.
I gotta say real quickly that I know that they're on the road and that Notre Dame is a top 25 team, but I'm surprised that the Trojans aren't favored.
We were slightly favored last year. I think we were favored by like 2.5. Caleb went off, had like 4 touchdowns. I think he had 6 touchdowns total for like rush. Caleb can have a game where he'll have like 4 rushing touchdowns and like 1 throwing touchdown, but just that's how effective he is with the game. I get our defense isn't as good, but I've been high on Sam Hartman, but he hasn't really been playing that good. Sam Hartman, that's Notre Dame's quarterback. The offenses look kind of stagnant throughout the last couple of weeks. They haven't really been putting up points against solid opponents. Like they'll put up 45 against like an NC State or whatever, but whenever they play like Ohio State, they put up 13 points. And then this past weekend, I don't know what was the final score of that game, but they lost to Louisville, albeit it was on the road. I think most college teams, whenever they're at home against a ranked opponent, depending on how good they are, they usually win those games. But I think Caleb Williams is a better quarterback. That's usually just how it goes whenever I don't know, man. It's gonna be.
It was 33-20 that Louisville beat Notre Dame, so they were only able to put up 20
points. So I think is Notre Dame going to be able to keep up with us? Because we're putting up 40. We're putting up 40 points. And
it's going to be a shootout. I definitely think it'll be a shootout.
Yeah, our defense is not. I need our defense to respond. They got to be able to create turnovers in this game. Just give Caleb as many possessions as you can. And I feel like we'll come out with a win. So I'm going to go with USC plus 110 on the road. Next game, kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. Shaun was giving out all the juicy games this coming up weekend. North Carolina, I like them on the money line. They're minus 175 at the moment right now. I think they are plus 2.5 at home. You could take that against Miami. They're playing against Miami. Miami's coming off the heartbreaking loss to Georgia Tech. But I do like the Tar Heels. This is the first time I bet on North Carolina. I usually bet against them, which has been kind of weird. I'm usually betting on the Tar Heels, not against them. But I do like the Tar Heels. They are going to be at home here. Have them at minus 175 against Miami. That'll be another good game, another marquee matchup against the. They're minus 3.5, so you might be able to take them. I'll take them. I'll still take them on money line because the game might be close. So we'll rock with Drake May and the Tar Heels here. You might be able to catch Drake May in a player prop. Maybe a little side bet here, something I'm leaning towards. Whatever his over in yards are and probably touchdowns, you might be able to take that. All right, so we're rolling into Sunday. We have, man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I got to roll with the Niners here, man. Come on, man.
Oh, yeah.
Niners are minus 5 on the road against the Browns. So it's going to be an early game for the nasty man, as Shaun likes to call him, Deshaun Watson. Now we're talking about this in the group, in our group chat. Is Deshaun Watson going to play? I'm not sure. Shaun did mention that he could have played in this past game. He had a shoulder injury. It was kind of a last minute thing. DTR ended up starting.
That's what a Browns fan told me yesterday. That's what they said to me. Apparently, that's the message going around the Browns fans and the propaganda against Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, so wasn't really too sure about that. Not sure if he's healthy, if he's practicing, because even before the game started, or before our game started yesterday, we were favored by 3 yesterday, and that's before the Cowboy game started. Odds Vegas saw what we did to the Cowboys. They're like, "Oh, you guys put up 42 points. You guys can beat the Browns, right? Should be nothing but a piece of cake." But I do not want to sleep on this defense. I think this defense is actually underrated. I think they have a really good secondary with Denzel Ward back there. Their D line is nothing to joke with Myles Garrett. So we'll have our hands full with him trying to dribble the ball, the invisible ball between his legs, but it's just not working on Trent Williams. So. I got the Niners minus 5 here. Another team, hey man, I've been high on them. There's another team around. Rocking with the Saints minus 1.5, baby. Come on, let's go. We got the Saints going into Houston, coming off of a big win against Bill and the boys. They pitched a shutout in Foxborough. So I think the Saints are going to go into Houston, be able to get a win over the old Rook and CJ Stroud. I'm going to go off the limb here and say CJ Stroud probably might throw his first interception against this defense. I'll just say that now.
Ohio State is DBU, and the Saints got a lot of them with Marshawn Lattimore as the headliner.
That is true. So I think the Saints will be able to cause pressure with Cam Jordan coming off the edge, and Marshawn Lattimore and the Honey Badger might be able to cause a couple tips and overthrows. So I'm rocking with the Saints -1.5 here. So to kind of recap on the hotline. So Saturday we got USC +110 over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in South Bend. That's going to be the 4:30 Pacific Standard Time game. We have North Carolina -175 over Miami. Not sure what time that game starts. It might start at the same time, to be honest. And then we're going to roll into Sunday. We have the Niners -5 against Cleveland, and that game is at Cleveland. Not sure if Deshaun Watson playing, but it really doesn't matter who's playing. The Niners are just on the roll, and they'll pretty much devour whoever's in their way. And then we have the Saints -1.5 over the Houston Texans. That game will be in Houston. So we have USC +110, UNC -175, Niners -5, and we have the Saints -1.5. So feeling pretty good about these picks. Feeling pretty good. All of these teams that I picked, they won in the previous week. So.
Well, what I was wondering is, are you picking with your heart on this week's Vonny's Hotline? Because we got 3 of your favorite teams, and the Saints who have become a de facto favorite with your NFC championship.
Who that, baby? I wanted to pick the Buckeyes, to be honest, on the spread, but you gotta be playing around too much, and y'all be playing on my heart, and I can't do that with those big game spreads. They'll favor you guys by like 30, and I'll be like, damn, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But they might be able to blow them out. So, like last week, I think you got a favor by like 3 touchdowns, and Talia kind of made you guys. I don't know what it is. Even last year when you guys played Maryland, they gave y'all fits early. But it's tough. I wanted to bet on the Oregon Washington game, but the money line isn't out for that game yet. We'll probably see that later on into the week, but the spread is 2.5, and I do like Oregon in this game, so I would be leaning the Ducks here. I think they're the better team. I think they have the better defense. But like Washington is kind of like USC, but on I wouldn't say a lesser degree. I just think their defense isn't really that good as well, but they'll be able to score points for sure. But I see some similarities in USC and Washington. I just think USC obviously has a better quarterback. I think Oregon has a more complete team in that game, so I would lean the Ducks here. It's not a play for me. It's not a play, but it is a lean for Oregon in that game.
I like it. Jaevon just gave you 4 picks on how to make some money this weekend and a bonus 5th pick. He's 12-12 so far through 6 weeks, and you may hear that record and you're like, oh, that's not the greatest. He has literally hit on half of his picks. So if you just do individual picks rather than a parlay, because the parlay is what might get you
parlay at your own risk.
Exactly. So if you just did the straight up picks, I mean, Jaevon's making money, and I honestly really like a lot of those picks. I know that a lot of them you might be thinking with your heart this upcoming weekend, but I like a lot of those picks, including the bonus one of Oregon to defeat Washington. And so before we get out of here, Jaevon, you got any final thoughts for our audience?
The Las Vegas Aces are going to win the WNBA title. Shaun is in denial. He's going to lose his bet. He went all the way to Vegas to watch the team get blown out by 20 points. Kelsey Plum at 26 points. She is a monster.
She is a monster, and something that was entertaining about yesterday.
1 for 7 from 3 and still had 26.
Yeah, she was getting to the basket like nonstop. I took a photo of her shooting a right-handed layup, a finger roll layup, and like it just looked. Obviously, it's a still photo, but it just looks so easy. And yeah, even though the Aces beat my favorite team yesterday by a lot, yesterday was still a real awesome day. Jaevon and I have a $20 wager on it, so I'm intrigued to see which way that goes. I do think that the Liberty win the series in 5 games, but we shall see, because I obviously have bias in my heart. I was giving Jaevon shit saying that his hotline was all his favorite teams. Well, I bet on my favorite team, and I might be down $20 for it, but it's okay. Game 2's on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. on ESPN. So make sure to check it out. WNBA Finals.
Real quick.
Check out my recap. What's the spread? Did you say?
5 points. On basis. Go ahead, Shaun. I know you're shouting on the other pod.
But yeah, I just wanted to shout out the other pod, WNBA Social. I did a full preview of the finals with my friend Sam, so check that out. It's still relevant as we're only one game in. I also wrote a recap with a story and tweets and photos from my experience covering game 1 of the WNBA finals yesterday. You can check that out on hoop-social.com, the basketball blog I write for. And that's it for my meaningless plugs. You got any plugs that you want to throw out there besides the fact that you think the Aces are going to smack the Liberty again?
Niners are the number 1 team in the league. Purdy's probably a top 10 quarterback by the end of the year.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know if it's top 6 like Kevin's friend said, but Brock Purdy is looking damn good so far. Everyone, make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It really helps us a lot. And if you enjoy the show, subscribe to get notifications when we go live. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at StatsOverPolitics and on X at StatsOrPolitics. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. And if you're enjoying the show, give us 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you've been tuned into episode number 55 of Stats Over Politics. For Jaevon, Toddy, Garry Singh, and Kevin Dent, I'm Shaun Holko. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you on another episode of Stats Over Politics next Monday.
Peace.